everybody, and welcome to another episode, another one of Dan and Frankie Goes to Hollywood. And once again, we're doing this. Yeah, look, this is our thing now. We're doing audio podcast, video podcast. Who knows what's going to happen next? We're going to actually come to your house and sit there at your kitchen table and do this live. If you give us enough money, we will do it. I promise you that. So anyway. For all of those who haven't figured it out by now, my name is Dan.
And I'm Frankie.
Indeed, you are, and yeah. Yeah, this is going to be our thing now. We're actually doing this full time for our YouTube channel. We're going to be doing video podcasts, and the audio will be taking over to your usual Spotify, Apple, wherever you listen to us. Or you can even just listen to us on YouTube. You know, you can just
Hmm.
put it on in the background. We're not that interesting, really. Well, Frankie's
Well,
not.
I mean, the the only difference is I now, if I'm watching movies I own, I can hold them up and show them off.
You can indeed. And I will do a what is it, an audio descriptive thing like you see in movies, you know, with the subtitles of like, you know,
Well, yeah, I will be also.
panting loudly or, you know, like weird crap. Eerie music plays. You know, you'll hold up a movie and I'll be like, Frankie holds up gorgeous steelbook or something like that. I
Yeah,
don't
which
know.
I am saying I have the steelbook of. So,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
audio people are not going to miss out. We're still going to, well, they might miss out a little bit. Like,
Yeah.
you can't see my Casey astronaut mug that's
You
getting all
have
the
got
light
a
reflected.
Casey astronaut mug, which is part of
Yeah.
our official Dan and Frankie merch. Yeah, like all the audio people out there are like, oh my God, what does it look like? Well, if you go and find us on all the social media places, I have posted a link to our merch store where we have like two things. Well, two designs, but you can get them on a whole wide range of stuff. If you want a bath mat that says it's a good time, or if you want an apron that has Casey Astro, like we've got you covered. Don't even worry about that. Um, Also, I
Yeah,
just
I did get a shirt as well, and it
yeah,
looks good. I got it a nice gray color because
hmm
space
yeah,
metal
yeah, yeah. Well,
spaceship color thing. But
yeah.
yeah, and I also got this shirt which I really love. Somebody merged a picture of Emma Stone from La La Land dancing with Fred Astaire. So
Stand up. Let's have a look. Okay, so
yeah, it's
yes,
pretty basic. It's just a
Frankie
square,
stands up and
but
shows shirt. Which, no, that actually does look really awesome.
yeah.
Also, I have to make a point. I am sick at the moment. I do have a head cold, so my nose is a bit congested. I may be coughing here and there, which ordinarily I'd be happy to edit out, but yeah, we're just not going to be able to do that anymore. So, yeah, deal with it. I'm sick. Which, yeah, I know I just had COVID. I got over that, and now I've got a freaking head cold. So, yeah, life is awesome. But that's not the most exciting news in the world. There's other things going on right now that we haven't yet discussed because, of course, we're in
Yeah, we
holiday
we
mode.
have both ends of the happiness spectrum of
We do.
things that have happened recently. So,
Yeah. But yes, no, look, we because something happened and we haven't talked about it, and I still want to talk about it because a certain trailer was about to drop at midnight one night. And I literally was sitting in bed. I think what was I don't know if I was like playing poker or something. I don't know what I was doing, but I was actually looking at the clock, like counting down the seconds till midnight. I'm not kidding. And when the Superman trailer dropped, I watched that thing three times in a row. I teared up. It was everything. It was everything that I had hoped for. I know it probably didn't mean as much to you, but what were your thoughts on that? Because
yeah, well, as everyone knows who's been listening for a while or knows
Hmm.
me, not really a Superman fan. So
No.
I definitely was not staying up till midnight. I was fast asleep when that came out.
Yep.
And but yeah, it looks fun enough. It's the that trailer and the one we're going to talk about after this,
Mm.
both have the same thing where they show you a whole bunch of things from the movie to get you intrigued and happy and
Hmm.
interested, but they're not like giving the whole story in the trailer, which
Yeah,
so
exactly.
many movies have happened to them these days.
Oh,
So
don't
that
they?
was really cool that you just see all these different pieces from the film to
Hmm.
get you excited for
Well,
it.
yeah, that's the thing. If someone asked me what the plot of this movie is, I couldn't tell you like at all.
Mm.
Because of course, we get like the first thing we see is Superman just like absolutely plummet to the earth, and he's been, you know, I don't know, something. I don't know if he's been beaten to a pulp, because who the hell could beat Superman to a pulp apart from Doomsday? But something's gone wrong, and yeah, and of course he's laying there all bleeding, and then we get all these other shots and everything. But like, let's just skip to the most important bit, the whistle. And then you see in the distance, like, snow just like rumbling as something's coming towards it. I'm sitting there, I'm like, oh my God, could it be? Could it be? And it was freaking crypto. Oh man. Yeah, like this whole thing just has James Gunn written all over it, doesn't it? I mean, I I'm excited because he does outsiders better than anyone, I reckon, as far as characters go, who not so much fish out of water, but like, people who are different and who are discriminated against because they're different. Like if you look at Creature Commandos, which I know you haven't seen yet, but like, pretty much every character in that is that sort of person, is an outsider who is kind of, shunned by society and has a grudge or whatever. Whereas obviously, Superman won't have a grudge, but so there was that, and then the whole animal thing, which is just such a James Gunn trademark. Like, yeah, everything about it I just loved. But the thing for me, and I know this is gonna come across as blasphemy for a lot of Superman fans, but I don't think they have ever captured the character perfectly in a film. Um,
Wow.
I know, I know. Like to me, there's never been a perfect Superman film. As much as I, either absolutely love them or like them a lot. Like I've never hated a Superman film. Um, I just don't. There's never been one that I thought was like, oh my God, that is it. Even the Christopher Reeve Superman films from the 70s and 80s and stuff. To me, there was just kind of like an element of slapstickiness to them, like in Superman 2 when he's fighting the Kryptonian villains, and like at one point, he peels off the S on his chest and throws it at one of them, and it like enlarges and wraps around. Like that's just silly, Um Flying around the world like super fast to go back through time to save Lois, things like that. Like I don't know. It's like Christopher Reeve did a great job of portraying the character. There's no doubt about that. But as far as the films themselves go, and even, Lex Luthor and his sidekick and everything, they were just sort of a comedic duo, things like that. So to me, they've never got it really right. And I kind of have a feeling this movie might do it, It might actually be the Superman film that we have always been hoping for. So yeah, but that's probably all I need to say about that, because otherwise I'm going to talk about it for 2 hours. Um, was there anything else you wanted to say about it, or
No.
no? All right. So you were mentioning another trailer. Which
Yeah,
which
the
one's that?
other trailer was for 28 years later,
Hmm.
which is always intriguing to have. Like, I know it's been talked about for a long time,
Hmm.
and then to actually have it happening now, and it's a trilogy, and Danny Boyle's back,
Yeah.
and that was also a really good trailer that didn't like show everything, but showed a lot of really cool stuff to
Hmm.
get us all interested.
Yeah, yeah. And there's of course all that talk about like the deceased Killian Murphy
Oh yeah,
or something like
yeah,
I don't know, it does look like him. Like I know
yeah.
nothing's confirmed,
It's
but
no, it's not. I
it's
think it
not.
has been confirmed. He's not going to be in the first movie.
Right, right, right. Okay. But yeah, no, look, one of the things that I'm extremely excited about with this film, and this is, coming from a filmmaking background, is the fact that so the first one, 28 Days Later, was filmed on like a digital video camera, which is why the quality isn't that great, which is even when you bump it up to Blu-ray and everything, like, it still looks really fuzzy. But I applauded the fact that, they did something kind of groundbreaking at the time, and for people like me who couldn't afford massive Hollywood cameras and everything, it's like, oh wow, it was inspiring, that they're bringing out this big feature film that was filmed on a consumer camera. Um, and I know the second one was a lot more Hollywood and glossy and everything, but do you actually know what they're filming, what they've filmed this new one on?
I don't know. I haven't really
An iPhone.
looked into it. Oh, okay.
It is actually shot on an iPhone.
Mm.
Admittedly, it's an iPhone inside a freaking gigantic rig that's got like a massive lens out the front and all this, all the gizmos and stuff. But I mean, essentially at its core, it's an iPhone, and so
I mean,
um
but that's not that. I mean, considering what phones are like now
that's the
compared to
thing.
what cameras were like then.
That is the thing, exactly. Like, yeah, phone cameras now are just out of this world. And but it once again, it inspired me. I'm actually in the process right now of filming something. We'll talk about that later with our when we discuss our film things for this year. But I'm putting something together at the moment, and ordinarily I would lug this big box of equipment. With I've got a couple of Canon 7D DSLR cameras, and all sorts of gizmos. But I was like, you know what? I'm going to do this with my phone, and I've got an app on it that actually, turns it into like a sort of a cinematic camera. Like it's got a whole bunch of different features that, in terms of lighting, focus, all that sort of stuff. And yeah, so I've been using that, and yeah, I'm actually really impressed with how it's looking. So yeah, I'm very interested to see like yeah how this one winds up looking and stuff. So yeah, so there you go. That's my tech ramble. Um, what else is going on? What else?
Well, I don't really pay attention to news. I just
Nah.
thought of that offhand to write down to talk about. So I
Mm,
don't know if there's other things going on, but the obviously the other thing that's just super recent is that David Lynch died. So that
yeah.
obviously has been a big wave over social media because lots of film friends or people I follow, and so
Mm,
everyone has been celebrating his movies and what he gave us over time. He's my
mm,
favorite director, so
yeah.
it's very sad. Although he has had been sick for a while, so
Mm,
um, while we were all hoping that we would get something more from him,
mm,
yeah, now we will not. But
yeah.
he has left us lots of great movies and TV. So
Mm,
yeah, I've seen lots of people have been revisiting movies, and I've seen people talk about they're going to do a Twin Peaks rewatch. So
mm,
yeah, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of Lynch love around
yeah,
for
yeah.
some time. But
Yeah,
yeah,
as you know, I like, yeah, this was definitely, I mean, I even, messaged you first thing in the morning when I found out. I was like, oh, yeah, this one's gonna hit you in the feels.
yeah,
Um,
you did that thing of telling me without telling me
yeah, because
because
I
you
knew you were
just
gonna find out.
gave a cryptic message, and I saw it and went, oh, okay, I guess he died. And then I
Yeah,
saw the actual news.
because previously we talked about this thing that I'm filming at the moment and how, funnily enough, like I've been kind of, even though like I wouldn't even call myself a fan of David Lynch, like I do really like a lot of his films, and which funnily enough I had a look, he's only directed 10 feature films.
Mm.
Like, you sort of kind of think David Lynch, like, oh my God, yeah, he's got like 20, 30 films under his belt, but no, he only
Well,
had
he's
10
got like
films.
a million short films.
Well, yeah, and TV and all that sort of stuff as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought that was
No, well
surprising.
that shows how much of a like
Yeah,
visionary he was, and his
exactly.
as a lot of people have said, a lot of people try to imitate
Mm,
his style and just
mm.
can't because they're just trying to do that, whereas he just was that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, that's the thing. Like what I'm filming at the moment, I'm not imitating him in any sort of way because I don't think I'm familiar with his stuff enough to actually imitate, but I was inspired by his stuff,
Mm.
and I've actually been kind of just pushing the boundaries of weirdness a little bit,
I think that's the thing that he shows because as a movie watcher as well, I know I first saw Lost Highway when I was like 16 or 17.
mm,
And so up until then, of course, that was pre streaming and everything.
mm,
So um, people showing you movies was kind of the way that you got into different stuff, or just stumbling across some late night movie on one of the three TV channels that existed back then.
yeah.
And so yeah, my friend showed me that mainly because I was into Marilyn Manson, and so
hmm
he was like, "Hey, Marilyn Manson's in this film."
mm,
Which is just a tiny cameo
yeah.
little thing. But anyway, that got me to watch it. And then I remember when I moved here, there used to be a big HMV in the middle of Brisbane City, and I used to go in there all the time, of course. And I
hmm
would see Eraserhead sitting on
mm,
in their DVDs, and I remember looking at it, going, "Oh, that's the guy who made Lost Highway." And the
mm,
obviously the cover of Eraserhead's like very
mm.
striking.
Oh yeah.
And eventually, I just bought it without knowing anything about it and
Mm.
watched it. And so, even watching Lost Highway first doesn't prepare you for what Eraserhead is. And I know
Yeah.
it's a very sort of that's one of the more divisive films because
Mm.
you either kind of get it or you don't,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
is fine because it's definitely a certain style and it's
Mm.
experimental and everything. But yeah, I really liked it. So he kind of opened me up to weirder side of cinema and
hmm
looking and combined with other things like there was a guy at a local video store that would recommend me stuff to
mm
see things that were not mainstream on TV and everything.
hmm
But yeah, to know that movies could be that weird and you didn't have to have a story that fully made sense or had
mm.
a complete ending or whatever. So
Yeah, yeah. Yeah,
yeah.
no, I checked out Eraserhead in the early 90s, I believe it was, and I did not get it. That was like at a point where I don't think I'd ever seen an art house film before, or, anything of that sort of, ilk. Um, and yeah, I put this film on and I don't even know if I got all the way through it, to be honest. I was just like, nah, I have no idea what this is trying to tell me. I am going to go and watch Die Hard again. But I wouldn't mind revisiting that film now, that I've got sort of I was going to say a more mature set of eyes, but that's debatable.
I
But
do remember being at a party once and we put it on because there was someone there who was curious because Dead Kennedys have the song about you cry like the baby in Eraserhead. And
oh,
so
yeah, yeah.
they were curious about what the baby in Eraserhead was. And so
Right, right.
we put it on and introduced that to a number of people with mixed results.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, no, I'll check it out again. But like, I mean, I only saw Lost Highway year before last for the first time ever,
Yeah,
and
which is
I
insane for
really enjoyed
how much of a 90s person you are that you
it.
skipped that one.
I know, I know. I haven't seen Mulholland Drive, but from what I've heard, it's like one of the best films ever made. So yeah, that'll probably be something that I'll want to check out soon. But yeah, I mean, The Elephant Man, I love. That film is just, oh my God, it's such a perfect film. Um, so I do like that one, but yeah. So no, I did appreciate, you know, the legacy that he left. I appreciated the influence that he had on so many people and stuff like that. So yeah, no, I did think it was rather sad, but yeah. But what can you do? Not
Mm.
much. Yeah. Um all right. Well, yeah, those are probably the most sort of yeah, it's sort of like, there's probably more important news things that have happened, but those are the ones that matter to us. So then it's our podcast, damn it. So that's what we're going to talk about. Um, but I don't know about you, but I do believe we have a trivia competition that we left off
Mm.
a little while ago. The
Yeah, let's bring the mood back up with some
Let's
fun
bring the
movie
mood back up.
trivia.
We have got our distinguished colleague, our esteemed guest who often joins us. We've got Charlie Nobbins coming back for movie trivia. And here he is, the trivia host with the absolute most. It's Mr. Nobbins, fresh in 2025. How are you doing, Nobbins?
I'm fresh,
You
apparently.
are. You look funky and fresh.
I don't feel fresh,
Oh,
but
really?
yeah,
Oh. What's been happening? How was your New Year's? How was all of that? Like, yeah,
pretty quiet. But I was
yeah.
on work leave for 3 weeks, and now I'm back at work, and I wish I was back on leave
Bleh.
again.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
But
That's
know that
understandable.
feeling.
Yeah.
I watched many movies and read many books, so it was
Did
good.
you?
Hmm.
Ah, didn't
Hmm.
didn't we all?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Every single one of us did those
hmm
things.
Yep. Every time I walk past my bookshelf, I glance down at the spines and I read the titles of the books and think, that's pretty close. Like I read a book.
Not many people can glance down at their own
Fine.
spine.
That is true. That is true. Now, Mr. Nobbins, we are back, of course, for trivia. For those who have absolutely no idea what's going on, why don't you fill us in with what is this? What is happening?
Well, it's a very unique game we've invented called trivia, where we ask
Oh,
questions about
oh,
movies,
right,
and
right.
you guys have got to come up with the answers.
What?
Mainly I'm doing the asking, of course.
What a
You two
concept.
don't do much asking, so
I hope you have trademarked this because this sounds revolutionary. This sounds like
Mm.
something that, you could make a board game out of it where people are in pursuit of trivia. I don't know what you'd call it, but
Speaking
Monopoly.
of, we should give it a name now. It's become a regular thing, so we'll have to figure something out.
well, we were trying to think of something previously. I remember at one point I was looking up like words that mean question or trivia that began with an N.
Yeah, I was
Although
thinking not that specifically, but a word starting with N, so it could be like something with Nobbins.
Well, I did think of knowledge. It doesn't begin with an N, but it kind of
N
does.
sound. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Like,
Maybe I could
but
just change my name to a K, so it says,
Knobbins.
yeah.
All right, you are now Knobbins. No, and then I remember looking up words that mean cinema or movies or whatever that began with an N because I thought, something knowledge with
Mm.
Nobbins, and there is not a single word beginning with an N that means cinema or film or
Although, would
movies
you
or
need it to start with an N if you've got knowledge? You could probably get away with because you'd still have knowledge with
Mm.
Nobbins.
Yeah, but I love alliteration and three N
Well,
sounds
that's
would
your
be
problem.
awesome.
Yeah.
It is my problem, and it is one that I did not solve because I am not Vanilla Ice, but yeah. Anyway,
How
so
about
here we have
Charlie Nobbins instead? So you could go cinema something with Charlie Nobbins.
that'd be Chinema or Sali. Like, it's a different sound.
Oh, you're
Hmm.
being that specific.
Wow.
Oh,
Most people just go by the
absolutely.
letter.
Mm.
Yeah.
Let's deep
Um,
dive.
But anyway, so we've been doing this trivia competition in some previous episodes late last year,
Hmm?
where Frankie and the rules have changed a little bit
Hmm.
because we were initially gonna go the first to 100, but are we all in agreement that we're actually doing this now? We're actually
Hmm.
going the first to 137.
137 it
Yeah.
is.
Brilliant. All right.
Stan's magic number, so why not?
Oh, it's a lot of people's magic number, believe
Yeah.
me. But right now, I can guarantee there are at least a couple of people listening to this who are like,
Hey.
"Hey." So yeah, so first to 137. I don't know what the scores are
Currently
currently.
is Dan 22 and Frankie 16.
Right, right. So not too far off. There's,
No?
there's, it's the gap is narrowing.
Well.
Um, it is.
The gap
Hey.
has not got wider. Shall we say that?
There you go.
Hmm.
Yeah. So yeah, so basically, and then whoever wins at the end gets a Blu-ray from the second place, the first runner-up, if you will, because
Get your
that's how
choice
the
of
what
any Criterion
any
Blu-ray
Criterion,
release.
any box
Yep.
set, any franchise, yeah, just the most expensive thing
Look
on
at
the
you,
market.
most likely to win being greedy.
And look at you with that sort of attitude. Come on, of course you're going to win this.
You're the one that has your like crazy photographic memory thing for years movies came out and stuff, which is quite an advantage. I have a crappy
Uh,
memory.
yeah, well, shut up.
It's all right. My goal of this competition is to just not fall too far behind.
That's a hey, that's an admirable goal. All right. So we were told that this was going to be trivia based on January releases,
Hmm.
but we've just been handed. Hang on, this just in. What? What? Yeah, it has changed, and we do not know
Hmm.
what the topic is. So it's anybody's guess right now, except Nobbins, because he actually knows what it is.
That is
So,
true.
what are
So
we doing today,
without further
Mister
ado,
Mister
the
Nobbins?
topic of today's trivia
Yep.
is 2025 movies. So movies that are coming out in 2025.
All
And
right.
instead of the usual 20, we're going to do 10.
Yes, because we did figure that 20 questions does kind of take up a lot of time in this podcast,
Yeah.
and yeah. So, all right. Well, let's just jump right in. What are our
Jump
buzzer
right in.
words?
You are happy, and Frankie is New Year.
Oh, what? New Year.
Yes.
Man.
Hey, that's well, both of the same amount of syllables.
Exactly.
Happy New
Yep.
Year. So
Yeah.
no, that's
Yeah, but
fair.
one flows better.
Damn
New
right it
Year.
does. And I am happy about that. Anyway, all right, let's go.
Let's roll with question number one.
Woo.
You ready?
Yeah.
Yeah,
All
I was
right.
born ready.
Let's do. What is the name of the next movie in the Mission Impossible franchise to
Oh,
be
New Year.
released? Yes, Frankie.
The Final Reckoning.
Correct. I didn't
Damn
even
it.
need to do the multiple choice.
I
No,
know
because
oh man.
one of the things that we are talking about in this episode is our anticipated 2025 movies. So I was looking through them recently and saw that title.
Yeah.
Excellent.
I was looking through them late last night. That's how late I left my preparation. And even then I'm sitting there, I'm like, it's something reckoning. Is it like Last Reckoning or the
Yeah, because I just think how like why
Ultimate
did they
Reckoning?
change it? It's gonna look weird on the
Mm,
shelf when you have
yeah.
them all on the shelf.
I assume that
Yeah.
maybe they'll do another edition of the physical media to,
But I already have, do I?
I don't know.
I,
Hmm.
I think
Only you can
I don't
answer
know. I
that.
can't
Yeah.
remember if I already bought it or not, but I'm pretty sure I did.
So
Yeah.
the multiple choice answers were Dead Reckoning Part 2, The Final
Ah.
Reckoning, The Last Reckoning, and You Reckon.
Oh. Yeah, I would have absolutely picked that last one there. Oh well. Anyway, well done, Frankie.
Well done,
Woo.
Frankie. Good
Yeah.
start.
All right.
Okay,
Thank you.
question two. What is the name of the next movie in this famous zombie movie series coming out in 2025? Is it 28
Three.
months later? 28,
Happy
yes, Dan.
28 years later.
Correct.
And
That
technically
one
they're not
threw
zombies.
me because it's 2026 for us. Going
What?
by events coming soon movies,
Mm,
they
Oh,
have
is it?
that as 2026 release here.
Oh, I didn't even know that. I thought we were getting it this year.
yeah, I thought we were
Well,
getting it this year as well.
Yeah.
unless
The
they
source that I had
haven't
said it was coming
updated.
out 20 November 2025
Oh
is what it
man,
said.
these trivia
Right.
questions are
Well,
crap. They're not even zombie
I hope
movies.
Event
It's a
is just
rage
fine.
virus.
Well, but
Yeah,
lots of movies get called zombie movies that
exactly.
But
have
they're
that.
not undead people. They're just infected. Like,
They died and then yeah, whatever.
all right. Come on.
Yeah. So
I
the other
thought you were
answers,
gonna ask about the subtitle for that as well, and
no.
I was like, I don't remember what that is
There isn't
because I
one.
didn't. There is,
Are you sure?
yes,
It's
because
the
I saw it.
final zombieing.
Zombie
No,
Reckoning.
because it's a trilogy,
Yeah,
so they've given it a subtitle
I have not seen it anywhere
on
with a
the well
subtitle.
on the event website, which
A
seems like it
trilogy in
may
four
have
parts.
Which is
very
a
like
den of lies.
yeah, I'm
Wow, this
going.
trivia competition is turning in quite controversial.
Isn't it?
Like, oh my
Well,
God. People right now are just like, oh my God, there's like in-house fighting going on and stuff. Yeah, for all those people who are listening to the audio podcast, you should see us right now. We've just got such angry faces.
Yeah, raging, in fact.
A
Yeah.
rage virus. See, this is what I'm talking about. Look at Frankie. She's scowling right now. That is a scowl.
I know, because this website is so annoying to
Mm,
use.
yeah. Actually, I got to remember that if I point, because I think my thingy gets flipped when, yeah. I just remember in the last one
Mm.
because it was our first video podcast. I'm like, and here's this person, and here's this person, and then because my screen was
The
mirrored,
You're
Bone
I was
pointing the wrong
Temple,
pointing
way.
the wrong way. Sorry, what's that?
the Bone Temple is what
Bone
they're calling
Temple?
it,
Oh, rubbish.
That
No,
seems
and they have
nah.
the date as
unnecessary.
15th of January.
Yeah, no, that
So,
is all complete lies and untruths. So there you go. You get a point deducted for that. So
Wow.
what?
yeah. Hey, because I said so. Shut up.
Confusing.
All right.
Question 3.
Blame
Yeah,
Event. Event loses a point.
let's just move on.
What is the name of the director of Godzilla 2014 version who has directed the latest Jurassic Park movie? Is it Gareth Evans, Gareth Thomas, Gareth from The Office, or Gareth Edwards?
Happy.
Yeah.
I think it was just Dan, sorry.
It is Gareth Edwards.
It is indeed.
Yeah. Is that who you were going to say?
No.
Oh, there you go. You would have had a point deducted.
Gareth
Again,
Evans, of
you'd have
Not how
course,
this
been
being
game
the
works.
you'd have
director of The
been
Raid.
-1.
Question 4. Australia's own Lee Whannell has a
Mm.
new movie out now called Wolfman.
Oh, I was about to jump in and say Wolfman.
Can you
Uh-oh.
name 2 of the 3 previous movies that he has directed?
New Year.
Yes, Frankie.
Invisible Man.
Yep.
Upgrade.
Yep. Well done.
They were the exact 2 I was going to pick as well.
Do you want to take a guess at the third? Which surprised me. I didn't
Um,
realize he actually directed it.
Did he do
no.
one of the Insidious ones?
Yes, he did.
Mm.
The third he wrote and
That's
directed.
right. Oh, yeah, of course he did. Well, there you go.
Very
I
good.
quite liked that one, which,
Mm.
considering, except I think that was the one that had the terrible audio mix. So
Ah.
whenever they were coming up to a jump scare, the music would get like 10 times louder. So I was forever on the
Yeah.
volume control because the speaking was so quiet. So I'd have to turn it down for the music and then turn it back up to hear what people were saying.
He
Did
had
you, in
Christopher
your-
Nolan as a consultant on that movie.
And in your review of it, did you mention the audio cues?
I did not, but I did complain about what I just said.
Good idea. Yeah, got to make sure that people know about that stuff.
Mm.
Anyway,
Anyway, the director of Longlegs,
yes.
Osgood Perkins,
Mhm.
also has a new movie out this year.
Shit.
What author wrote the book that
New
the
Year.
movie?
Fuck.
Yes, Frankie.
Stephen King.
Correct.
Why do I get a feeling that one was tailored for a
How
certain
do
person?
you not know that though? We've talked about it multiple
true.
times.
What movie
Yep.
is it?
The monkey.
Monkey.
Oh my God. Yes, of course. Yeah. How I don't know is because I forgot because my brain is fried because I'm sick and I have babies. So yeah.
Babyitis.
Ugh, yeah.
Sad.
Yes, The Monkey, which is of course going to be featuring on my anticipated movies list. But anyway,
Indeed. But
I
anyway,
actually totally forgot that was a Stephen King thing. But yeah, anyway.
you'll
What
never
can you
forget
do?
now until later on.
Mm.
Question 6. Who is playing the role of Lex Luthor in James Gunn News?
Yeah.
Frankie.
Nicholas Hoult.
Correct.
was-
One of the best working actors right now who's
He's
getting
fantastic.
lots of things. So I'm
Love it.
quite happy with that.
I feel like I should have gotten that one, but
I feel like I
anyway.
should have because you're right because
Hmm.
I wrote 2 questions. One was directed towards Frankie, which was the Osgood Perkins one,
Mm.
and that one was directed towards you, and Frankie got them both. So
Wouldn't it
well
be
done.
ironic
Yeah.
if I got the Stephen King one and she got this one?
I don't know if
Crazy.
that sounds like an Alanis Morissette use of irony, but
It does. Oh, wow. What a world. Anyway.
what a world! What a world we live in! What a time
Yeah.
to be alive. Question 7.
Hmm.
South Park's Trey Parker, and Matt Stone are working with which music megastar on a new movie, which may be released in 2025? Is it A, Drake, B, Kendrick Lamar, C, The Weeknd, or D, Electric Bongo?
Oh, I thought I'd heard something about that, but hearing those names, I'm like, no,
God, I
that's
must be out of the loop. I didn't even
I've
know they were working on something at the moment.
New Year. Let's just
Yes.
go C.
Kendrick Lamar? Correct.
Oh,
Ah.
fuck off.
I actually thought C was The Weekend. It's just like
Oh,
I
well,
keep
no, you
hearing
don't
that
get it
name.
then.
No, because I said C.
That, all right, fine.
I was just plucking one out of thin air, so it
I bet
doesn't
you were.
matter.
Anyway.
So you need to catch up on the news because apparently it's an untitled movie and it's coming out late this year or maybe early next year. But
If it comes out next year, does that mean Frankie loses a point because it's technically not a 2025 movie? I
no,
think
because
so.
as I said at the start
In
of
fact,
the
I think she
trivia,
should just lose that point altogether now. Yeah. So, damn it. I'm reaching
damn it.
here.
Question 8. Edgar Wright is rebooting which 80s action
New
classic?
Year,
Yes, Frankie.
Running Man.
Correct.
Ah, is he doing that?
Wow.
I knew
You
there
are
was
out
a
of the
Running
loop.
Man coming out, and I just
And it's
remember,
Glenn Powell.
It is.
yeah, yeah,
Yes.
yeah. And I just remember thinking to myself, look, why would you remake such a freaking perfect film? But yeah,
Here we
anyway.
are. They're also doing
Oh
a Naked
boy.
Gun remake / sequel.
Oh no, I
So
know that
Well,
with Liam Neeson's.
apparently, Running Man is quite different from the original book. So there's
Mm,
talk of whether Edgar Wright's going to be more like the original book or the
yeah,
original
yeah.
story rather
Oh look,
than a
if it's
remake,
Edgar, I
direct
trust it.
remake.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah, he rarely misses, so yeah.
should
Well
be good.
done. All right.
Question
Uh,
9. The highly anticipated Bong Joon-ho movie, Mickey 17,
yes.
stars which beloved Australian actor? Is it A, Kylie Minogue, B, Kate Blanchett, C, Margot Robbie, or D, Tony Collette? Coney Tollett?
Happy.
Yes, Dan.
B.
Kate Blanchett, it is not.
Shit. I had a
Um,
50-50 shot because I know too that it's not.
oh, I don't want to restart my computer.
Oh, she's
Um,
Googling the answers.
no.
I can
Is
hear the
it?
buttons clicking.
I clicked my mouse to get the pop-up saying we're going to restart your computer.
Yeah.
Vital thing. Is it Tony Collette?
It is.
Fuck.
I am very much looking forward
I
to that
knew it
movie.
wasn't
I
Kylie.
can't
I
wait to
knew
see
it
that
wasn't
movie.
Margot.
I loved the trailer so much.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I loved
Okay.
it so much I forgot who was in it.
Who was
Yeah,
that
because it
there
got
again?
pushed back. It was meant to come out last year, and
It was
or no, it was meant to come out in January, and it got pushed back to March or something. It got pushed
something.
back a ways
Yeah.
anyway.
Okay, the final question. Can you name 2 of the 3 animated movies with live action remakes releasing in
Happy.
2025? Yes, Dan.
I can't, but I'm going to try. Well, one of
Okay.
them is Snow White.
Yes, it is.
What was the question again?
Name 2 of the 3 animated movies with
Oh,
live action
Oh.
remakes coming out in
oh.
2025.
Well, the other one is, of course, uh, the because talking about live action remakes, I
Mm-hmm,
mean, so you got Snow White, which drew a
hmm
lot of controversy in its
hmm
casting and the
Correct.
trailer, and a lot of reasons why that one drew controversy. But I personally think, it looks really good. I'm looking forward to that one. What I am also looking
Mm.
forward to, though, when you're
Yep, yep,
talking
yep.
about live action animated remakes,
hmm
which we're not counting things like is it Screamboat, the horror version of Steamboat Willie, things like that's not a
Mm.
remake really, is it?
No,
Is it? No. So
it
we're
is
not
not.
counting that.
Can
No,
I
no.
can I say one and get half a point?
No, no, shut up. I'm procrastinating.
Yeah, hurry up. Come on.
No,
I'm
if you get one, I'll give you the full point
no,
because
no, no,
actually no,
but
I'll give you half a point each if you get the other one.
I
Thing.
no, I have not finished because
Isn't there some kind of timer on how
the
long you've got to
You'd
oh
hope
answer?
so, wouldn't you?
shit.
Otherwise,
No, the other one
Because
three,
I'm
that's
pretty
two,
sure.
1, answer,
Finding
please?
Nemo
I'm
No.
with
pretty
real
sure
fish.
in the
So,
list
Frankie, I'll
I
give you
saw
I'll give you a bit of a
how.
hint before you answer.
Oh,
Okay.
how to fucking train your dragon, my God.
Do you know what's really funny? If I wasn't just about to say How to Train Your
Yeah,
Dragon, you would have just given it to me.
yeah. Because Frankie hadn't answered yet, so
I
you
just said
literally just
how, and then Nobbins was going to give a hint, so I thought,
yeah.
oh, I'll wait for the hint.
Yeah. Anyway,
Uh,
Frankie can have that point.
yeah,
half,
Frankie,
No, no,
half
no. Just
full
have the full
point.
point. Like we're
have the
not
full
going
point.
half points. I don't
Yeah.
think that's going to get
No.
Wow.
too
Yeah,
complicated.
you're feeling
So yeah,
cocky about later.
the third one is one of my all-time favorite animated movies. Lilo and Stitch is getting a live
Oh,
action
that's
remake.
right. Yeah, it is too. Wow.
Uh,
I should pay more attention.
really should, yeah. So
Yeah.
that's it. The final score today.
Oh.
That woman who said that she would never get going to catch up has won 8-2 today, and
Woo!
Woo.
the overall score is now 24-24.
Woo.
So, see, my memory is so crap, but I do okay if you're talking about things I've just been looking at over the last couple of days.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, stuff that I was looking at about 10 hours ago. Whoops. Oh
So
boy.
yeah, that was a great leveler. So we're basically going to the next trivia, all squared.
Hmm. Yep. Which will be Neil Breen films. No. Wow. All right. Well, I'm actually glad this happened. I like a more even competition. I don't want it to be like, oh, Dan's on 78 points and Frankie's on one, or something like that. Like,
I'm
there's no
not
fun
that
in that.
terrible.
There is no fun in that.
There
No.
is
So
not.
yeah.
One thing I did
Um,
discover while doing research for this
yeah.
is how many good movies there are coming out this year. It should be an
Mm.
Oh
epic year of
yeah.
movies.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
I have a pretty long list of my anticipateds because I thought
Mm.
we're not talking in depth about them. So, oh my God, it's telling me to update again. I said not to update.
Yeah.
And now
You
the
did
only
say
thing is
that.
rest now or
Yeah.
okay.
You
Oh,
can only
all
defer
right.
it so many times before it says you have to do it now.
Ah, you are being
Well,
held
we
hostage.
might have to take a break before we get back to the main podcast.
That
Then we have to
is
start a new meeting.
fair enough.
Well, on that
All
note,
right.
I'm going to say goodbye and let
Yes,
Frankie
thank you very
reboot.
much, Nobbins. Thank you for leveling the playing field and bringing your amazing Nobbins knowledge of knobs.
We'll get
There we
there
No,
go.
eventually.
I don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's our title. We don't need a something of something.
Just
Just two
Nobbins
words.
knowledge.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds
All
good to me.
right. I like it. Okay. Today it is officially known now as Nobbins knowledge.
And I can't
Yeah.
wait to listen to this podcast and see what's coming up.
Oh my goodness, you are going to be amused, enthralled, excited. You're going to be so many adjectives. It's just unbelievable.
I can't
Yeah.
wait.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
All
All
right.
right.
See you
We
both.
will catch you on the next one.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Well, there you go. The playing field is level and your
Hmm.
computer is now restarted and
Yes, and
you
I
have
realized,
discovered something.
yeah. So event is just messing things up all over the
I told
place.
you.
The
Told you it's a
Bone
den of
Temple
lies.
is the second 28 years later film, which is out
Yes.
in January 2026. And I don't know what
Yeah.
happened to the first one. Maybe I just missed it when I was going through, but yeah, and because they
Yeah.
didn't say part two, like you look on Letterboxd, it says a part two in the title, but
Yeah,
that
yeah.
event didn't. So I thought that was the new one. So
And I got
there
to
we go.
admit, TIL that there is a part two. Like I didn't even realize this, but
You didn't
yeah,
know it was a trilogy?
I a trilogy ending a trilogy. Like, what is even going on? It's like trilogyception.
Hmm.
But I didn't realize. Yeah, directed by Nia Costa as well, who of course did the Marvels and the Candyman remake, and both of those films I really enjoyed. So yeah, this has got me excited. Yeah, so there we go. We've
Hmm.
learned something today. So
Yeah.
yes, and now you don't look like a complete knucklehead. So because we
Everyone was
can,
listening and in their head saying, you're an idiot. That's the
yeah.
next one. Yeah, I know now. So
Hopefully those people didn't turn off after that whole thing. They're like, oh, I'm not listening to this. She doesn't know what she's talking about. She calls herself a movie talk person. Whatever. Hashtag fake fan. No, look, there's who does a trilogy to conclude a trilogy? That's just, yeah, that's a bit excessive. But anyway, All right, but listen, speaking of movies, so we've had our kind of, you summer break because of course over here it's summer. And we've been watching things over the
Yeah, except
period since our last episode.
our last main episode came out at the beginning of December, so
Wow.
it's been some time. Although a lot of my watching in December and early January was
Mm,
2024 movies.
hmm.
So most of them got discussed, well, the good ones
Yeah.
anyway, in our discoveries and top 11 of the year episodes. But I
Hmm.
got a few others and a couple of recent ones. So
Yep.
I got a few things to mention.
Well, I have barely watched anything, so this is going to be mostly you. So I've got um like yeah not many things, not many things at all. So
All
um
right. Well, I have one. I don't normally like to talk about movies that I don't like because
mm,
it's not really any point. But just as like a PSA for anyone who may not be aware,
mm.
the Crow movie from 2024, which
Here we
um,
go.
didn't the trailer didn't grab me at all, but
No.
I like to give every movie a chance, and Bill
Mm,
Skarsgård's in it,
mm.
so that's reason
How could it
enough
go
to watch
wrong?
it, even though like even he couldn't save this because the thing is this was not like a Crow movie.
No.
I don't know why they kept the names. They could have
Mm,
just made it a completely separate thing.
mm.
Still wouldn't have been a Crow movie, but at least it wouldn't have been taking the story that already exists and making it not a Crow movie.
Right.
But yeah, it was kind of boring. It had a very like they Eric and Shelley just meet in this film. That's how quickly they suddenly are soulmates and so in love that the rest of the movie happens.
Mm,
No chemistry, no like even Bill Skarsgård was just not
mm,
cool in this. But it's mainly the story and where it goes and the fact that it's not even following the Crow kind of thing.
mm.
And
Law.
especially how it ends. Yeah,
Mm.
the way it ends is just like the final. Yeah, this movie just made me so angry that
I know. I remember the messages that you were sending me and Nobbins, and you're like, "Oh man, you were just unhinged. This was Frankie unleashed," and I was there for it, man. I was like, "Oh my God, I am so glad that like what you guys are listening to right now is such a PG version of what we were getting." Yeah, it was amusing. If anything, I'm glad that you took a hit just so we could be amused by your rant.
yeah. Because I
Uh,
mean, sometimes a remake, like it's rare for a remake to be better than an original.
mm,
Happens sometimes, and then you can always expect it's not going to be as good, but what are they going to do? And so it's
yeah,
just not only annoying for it being a bad movie, but annoying for it being a bad Crow movie. Like
yeah,
that,
yeah.
it's not. It's shitting on the story and
Mm,
the world of it, especially when you read about why it was written. Like that makes
mm,
it even worse that
right.
they did all of that. But also, The Crow and City of Angels as well
Mm,
both had really cool soundtracks. And even the
mm,
music in this, apart from one song, they had a song by the Veils, which was very
mm,
nice. But all the other music just was not good.
yeah.
Not like nothing made me want to look up what the song was.
Mm,
Or there's so many movies that as soon as they're done, I'm like, on Apple Music looking for the album to add to my library so I can listen to it. And this one, I was not
yeah, yeah,
even
right.
thinking about that because there was
Mm,
no song besides the Veils song. I already knew the Veils. So that was yeah,
mm.
even the music. So yeah, there was like literally nothing really to like about this movie.
Oh, wow. I still, by the way, for those of you in YouTube land who are wondering what I'm doing right now, I am tickling my pussy because she is down between my legs at the moment. Anyway, yeah, no, I have not been inspired to watch that film because yeah, being that the first Crow film is like my third favorite movie of all time, oh man, this is just like why would I want to watch this? But I probably will eventually. But
Wow. Yeah.
yeah,
I
I've
don't
just got better things
often
to do.
I don't often give out half stars, but this
Hmm.
like that, that's
Yeah,
the
yeah.
lowest it could be. That's where it
I'm actually
was.
gonna have a look right now because I don't think I am in focus. It looks like my background is more in focus than I am. Oh, now it's all
Yeah.
blurry. Yeah. So there you go, people in audio podcast land. Oh, that looks a little bit better. There you go. All right. Do you think I look in focus?
It's
I don't know. Yeah. That's going to translate really well to audio.
And I'll just jump in with my other
Yes.
2024 movie, which I did mention on the other one, but I bought the Steelbook this week for
Ooh.
Joker
Joker
2,
2, Electric Boogaloo.
because this Steelbook cover was so much prettier, I thought,
Mm.
than the normal cover. And
Yeah.
I think I've noticed that JB have started pricing Steelbooks by the movie rather than, generally all Blu-rays are the same price when they come
Yeah.
out and then they go cheaper over time. And I've found that generally you have your Blu-ray price, your 4K price, and then your Steelbook price. But
Hmm.
the Steelbook was only $3 more than the 4K for this.
Oh, wow.
So, and because it has a nicer cover and it has the
Mm.
picture on the back, I
Mm.
picked it up and I haven't watched it yet in the 4K, which I'm
Mm.
very excited to do. But I did watch this fun thing that studio releases so rarely have these days.
Mm.
45-minute making of special. It's
Nice.
split into parts, but you can play
That's all
them
right.
all in one go.
Yeah.
And they focus sort of on different areas. But yeah, they were filming stuff as they were making it, and
Mm.
as well as having little talking spots with various cast and crew.
Hmm.
So yeah, it was really interesting. So
Yeah, yeah.
I'm very happy with
Yeah, because
this
these
film.
days, like, so often you just get like, 10 minutes of making of stuff that's split into
Mm.
1.5 minute vignettes that are basically the same interview, repeated and things
Yeah,
like
it's like
that.
they
Like,
make little things to put online, and so they just chuck it on the
mm,
disc. I mean, I know Top Gun Maverick was a really disappointing one for me because that's the kind of movie that you could get so much in depth on making it,
mm,
and like everything the cast went through with the training and all of that stuff. And they just
mm,
had these silly little things. It was saved by the 4K did have like I think it was an hour-long interview with Tom Cruise in the actors studio, so
right.
that was nice, but I wanted more about the actual making of the film. So
Yeah,
there's
yeah,
there's
of
other
course.
features on this which I haven't got to yet.
Mm,
From what I've heard, they're more shorter things. The
mm,
making of was the main thing. But yeah,
yeah.
I've been listening to the soundtrack from this a lot, and I love the songs and Lady Gaga's like sort of companion album that she did. And
Hmm.
so yeah, it's growing on me. I
Cool.
guess I understand people not enjoying it, but I don't understand that it's being trashed as much as it
Hmm.
is. And I don't know if people are just focusing on like there's musical numbers, and I don't like that
Mm,
because yeah, some of the things they're saying, I've said this before, some of the things they're saying don't make sense. Like this
mm,
movie flows on well from the first and feels like a big cohesive story. So
hmm. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
that's that. So I'm happy to have
Ow.
that.
Oh, now my kitty cat is clawing my leg. Wow. If you want to come up here and be on camera, you're more than welcome to be. Um, let's see, a lot of the stuff I've watched has been just sort of rewatches of things. Well, I mean, there was something, I guess I'll mention it if our last episode was 1st of December. I know I did talk about this on one of our holiday specials about oh, I think it was our discoveries list, but I'll mention it anyway. It was a documentary called The J Horror Virus, um, which was a thing that went into Asian horror, like particularly Japanese horror, and why it is so much better than Hollywood horror and all of this sort of stuff. And it just really, really appealed to me because they so my number one favorite horror movie of all time is the Japanese version of Ring. And this documentary featured an interview with the actress who played Sadako, which was brilliant. And not only did she recreate how she did all the creepiness by putting her hair down and kind of doing the crooked knuckle thing to the camera, but she told this great anecdote about how during the second one, um, like she warned them when they wanted her back for the second one that she was actually pregnant when she filmed the first one, and she'd had her baby. I think the baby was like 3 or 4 months old or something while they were filming the second one, and there she was when between takes, like in full costume with, removed fingernail makeup and everything, breastfeeding her kid, which man, if there was a single photo out there of that, I would just love to see it. But no, that was a really outstanding documentary. It was so full on and in depth. It was where was that streaming on? That was streaming on Shudder. So yeah, that's where I found it. So yeah, I was highly impressed. Sorry, I'm just looking over at my doorway right now where my almost 8-month-old daughter has come to visit. Hello, darling. Hello. If you do you want to come in here and I'll hold you up to camera. Can you come in here? No? Good. Can you bring her over here for me? Because this is gonna be where the people listening to the audio version of this are just gonna absolutely suffer. But yes, here's my daughter. This is little Harper Quinn. Yeah, look at you. This is your first podcast. Yeah. Look, there's your Auntie Frankie. Yeah. Yeah. Uh-huh. And what else did you think about that film?
Oh.
Oh, right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay. So yes, if that's not a reason for the people listening to the audio to tune into the video version of this, I don't know what is. So yeah, that's you. I know you're a celebrity now. Yeah. All right. Say bye-bye. Bye. Or something. I don't know. Thank you. Uh, there we go. We got guest stars happening in
Hmm.
this thing. Um, yeah, so no, if there are any fans out there of Asian horror films, I cannot recommend that documentary strongly enough. It was so freaking good. So yeah. Uh yeah. What else you got?
Cool. I will quickly mention
Mm.
streaming on Stan and Amazon Prime. I
Hmm.
watched Triple Nine,
Oh.
which is it's kind of a mixed one because the story is pretty average,
Hmm.
but it's done well and has some great scenes.
Right.
Because it opens with a bank robbery,
Hmm.
and there's a raid scene in it that's very cool, and it does have a good ending. So
Hmm.
it's kind of like let me just read the actual description.
Yes.
Yeah, so the it's like a gang of criminals, but there's corrupt cops that are like part of this gang
Mm.
doing the bank robberies. And they want to do this like really massive heist. And then there's this new cop that's just come into the department, which is Casey Affleck. And they
Sorry,
decide
who?
to,
Sorry, Casey, who?
yeah,
Casey Astronaut. Come on.
yeah,
Get it right.
except he's a policeman in this one.
Oh, so it's
And
Casey Cop.
yes.
Yeah.
And so he gets caught up in this thing, but they're also trying to like sort of make him the fall guy for this so they can get away with it. And so yeah, it just has some really cool scenes. So I don't
Hmm.
know. I gave it 3.5 because it's not,
Hmm.
groundbreaking, but I
Yeah.
still had a really good time watching it, and it
Right,
did
right.
have those good scenes. So
Hmm.
yes, I recommend that one.
Cool. This is probably going to be absolutely no surprise to anybody out there, but I rewatched the Terrifier trilogy. But mainly because I wanted to show it to my brother-in-law, Matt, who cannot handle horror movies. Um, but
That's just
he,
cruel.
well, no, he wanted to
I
watch
know.
them though. Like, this is the
Yeah,
thing.
but that's just,
I mean, look, Kylie and I may have inspired or influenced him a little bit, but
mm,
so no, we thought, okay, look, let's do this. So yeah, it was really interesting because okay, so this dude cannot handle horror movies. Like I think it was the first one he got like 2 or 3 hours sleep that night because, can't sleep, clown's gonna eat me. But he is able to do this thing, what's it called? Lucid dreaming, like where you're
yeah.
in control of your dreams. And so, by the time the second one came about and there was the magic sword and everything, he was actually able to incorporate that into his dream and everything, which I just think is so freaking cool. This is Nightmare on Elm Street stuff. This is like the character of Alice who was able to, bring people into her dream and all that sort of stuff. Like, yeah, that is so freaking cool. So he's having all these dreams about Art the Clown, but he's able to control it. So yeah, I just thought that was really cool. But no, look, yeah, my opinion of these movies hasn't changed in any sort of way. Although I did actually bump the first movie up by half a star because one of my criticisms of it was that, at the time I kind of thought it was a little lacking in story plot. It was just kind of like clown murders people. But in the context of a trilogy, I now think it actually does a pretty good job in establishing the characters, particularly Vicky, who becomes like a major character in the third one. So yeah, I think, yeah, in terms of being the start of a trilogy, it actually works a lot better in that case. So um yeah, my rating of that one did go up a little bit. I still think the second one suffers from just being too bloated. Like I was even sitting there this time around and thinking to myself, like, what could you trim in this film? And there was so much. Like, as much as I love the clown cafe scene, my God, that goes for a long time. That could have seriously been trimmed down so freaking much. And yeah, I'm not going to get into a discussion about the third one because that is going to lead to anger and resentment and possibly the end of a beautiful friendship. So, what else have you watched?
Um, well, my big thing that I finally got to on New Year's Eve, I was
Hmm.
thinking about my last movie of the year, and I like to have good movies for my first and last. So I was like, oh well, I don't know what to have.
Hmm.
Do I take a chance on something or do I
Hmm.
rewatch something that I
Yeah.
know is going to be good?
Hmm.
And I decided to watch The Nice Guys because I hadn't seen
Ah.
it.
Speaking of nice
Have you?
guys, sorry to interrupt, but so this is my other twin. This is little Lex, who, as you can see, actually you look really bald in this. So yeah, you're living up to the name right now. Do you want to say something to the people out there who are listening? Yes, that's the microphone. Yeah, do you have anything to say? Hmm? No? Oh, you're just fascinated by the mic, are you? Yeah. All right. Lex, for what he lacks in words, he definitely makes up for in poopy nappies. So, um, yeah, yeah, you're playing with your own foot now. All right. Well, anyway, there you go. That's the other one. So, yeah. So, bye bye, everybody. Thank you. Yes, the nice guys. My God. So, yeah.
Yeah. So I finally got to it. I've
Oh,
been
happy.
meaning to for years.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I love that it's set in the 70s.
Yeah.
I love that time period because then
Mm-hmm.
people were wearing really cool clothes.
Yeah.
So that's nice. And yeah, I'm very hit or miss with Ryan Gosling, but I
Yeah.
he does for me really excel in comedy roles. Like
Mm-hmm.
his comedic performances always get
Mm.
me, and it's so great in this.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, him teaming up with Russell Crowe
Yeah.
is really fun. And the thing with his teenage daughter and how she's
Mm.
in the story and the comments and everything. Just,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, it was very fun. So everyone was right. But I am
Yes.
also glad that I didn't watch it till now, because when I watch a film that I love, of course, the first thing I want to do is add it to my collection.
Mm.
But obviously, you can't buy it in store anymore because
Ah,
it's an old movie, and
it
that's
is.
how JB is now.
Yeah.
But I did see that it's getting a 4K release coming
Hmm.
up from Second Sight, I think it is.
Right,
So
right.
yes, I shall wait and get
Oh,
a
yeah,
nice
yeah.
fancy edition of it.
No, I remember, yeah, like that movie came out in 2016, and that was the year that I launched my YouTube channel, reviewing movies. And I think it was the second movie that came around that I gave a perfect 10 out of 10 to, because Jungle Book was the first one. And even then I was like, okay, just give it a day. Like I got to think about this. Like there's got to be something I didn't like about it. And Nice Guys was no different. I stewed on it for like a day or two and just, really thought about it. I was like, what did I not like about this film? And I was like, I cannot fault it. I thought it was absolutely perfect. I thought, yeah, the cast were amazing. And Gowrie Rice, who, the young girl in it, who is actually Australian, I thought she was brilliant. She
Mm.
just, there was something about her that was just so charismatic, and yeah, the tone and everything, I just thought, yeah, it was just such a brilliant film. So
I
I'm
can
really
see
happy.
I can see why people are still talking about a sequel. Like
Mm,
it kind of finishes off perfectly that you could have a
mm,
sequel. Um,
yeah.
so you would want to have the same people working on it to make
Mm.
sure it has the same quality.
Oh,
But
definitely.
yeah, I definitely would be happy to see that. But
Yeah, yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, no, I've got to rewatch that film. It's been years since I've seen it. But
so yeah, that was
yeah.
a perfect way to finish off my year. So
Yeah. Well, yeah, so as far as this year's stuff, I and again this was because of my brother-in-law Matt. He wanted to watch the movie Mindhunters one night, and we got talking about it, and I happened to mention, that because that movie was so heavily based on Agatha Christie's And Then There Were None, to the point where if you look at And Then There Were None on Wikipedia and you look up other versions of it, like Mindhunters is actually in there. And he was like, oh, he made the fatal mistake of saying, I've never heard of that. What's that? I was like, ah. Crack the knuckles, here we go. Because And Then There Were None to me is the most perfect story ever written. I read that book many, many years ago. Yes, I read a book. I know, I know. This is just like there's all sorts of outrage happening today, but yeah, I that just blew my mind. It was the most intense horror story I'd ever written. No, I didn't write it. Read actually. I thought it was terrifying, and yeah, just like a perfect story. And so I knew there were a lot of film versions that had been made, and so I had seen a couple of them, but again, it was one of those cases where I didn't really feel like anyone ever really got it right, like there was one version that instead of being set in a mansion on a remote island, it was set out in the desert. And I was kind of thinking, like, I get that, it'd be hard to escape that place because, desert, but you could still get away, like there was still like alternative things you could do. But and then there was another film version, and apparently the play does this as well, that really irks me, where the final two people, and I'm not going to spoil what happens in the story for anyone who hasn't seen it, but the final two people form an alliance to try and figure out who the killer is, and then they go and, figure it out and stuff. And it's like, that's not the ending because the actual, like, okay, it's probably not a spoiler because of the title of the movie, And Then There Were None. But the actual ending is super freaking dark. Like, it is traumatizingly dark. And then in 2015, the BBC did a two-part miniseries. No, my apologies, three parts. But each episode's like 40 something minutes. So it's like a 3 hour film of it. And it was almost perfect. It retained the horror aspect in so many ways, which I was just, oh man, I was overjoyed. It did a couple of things differently. There was even an entire scene where you come down to like the last, I think, was it four people? Yeah, and they just, have this drunken night of debauchery and drugs and, you know, like yeah, and it wasn't in the book. And I remember the first time I watched it, I was watching this scene and I was kind of like, how do I feel about this? Like this is new, but it really won me over because I was like, you would do that, if you knew that you were going to die and you were down to your last four people, like, fuck it, like just let loose for a night, and that sort of thing. So yeah, we ended up showing that to Matt, and yeah, again, he didn't do too well because of the horror element. But yeah, it was a real joy to watch it again, because that to me is as close as you're ever going to get to, you know, to the book. They did ruin the ending a little bit, but yeah, it wasn't enough to seriously hurt it. So yeah, I watched that again.
Oh,
And what else do you got?
let's go to Radiance, I thought,
Okay,
because
here
I've
we
always
go.
got to go to Radiance. I recently watched The Shape of Night,
Ooh,
and this has a really pretty cover. And
Frankie holds up movie with pretty cover.
the thing I like about Radiance films is they have a little strip, if I can
Mm.
reach. Hang on.
Frankie looks back. Frankie takes off headphones and reaches back, trying to find something.
It was a bit too
He
far to reach.
puts headphones back into her ears,
They have this
brushes her
little
hair
strip
aside.
down the side
Yes.
that kind of has the info, the plot, the details of the
Right,
year it
right.
came out, the special features, and whatever.
Hmm.
But then when I watch them, I tuck that inside, and they have
Mm.
these cool covers that just wrap around
Yeah,
and have
right.
nothing. They're double sided, and usually the other side will have, all the printing and photos and synopsis and everything on the back.
Hmm.
But yeah, I like to keep them not like that. So, in the shape of the shape of night, not in the shape.
Yeah, come on. Fake fan.
It's a really good film. It's very pretty. Like the
Mm.
cover is like an indication. There's a lot of like colored lights and things.
Right.
But it's a beautiful film for an ugly story.
Oh,
So,
oh, God,
um,
that should be on the cover. Or even a subtitle of it, a beautiful film for an ugly story.
So
Yeah.
it's this young girl, I think she's 19 at the start, and
Hmm.
she works at a factory and then gets a part-time job working at a bar. And she meets this guy and likes him. He's like a Yakuza guy. And
Oh,
so she gets, falls in love with him, gets caught up with him. And basically, he gets her into prostitution because um, he needs money.
yeah.
So yeah, and
What
it's
better way to do it?
following that story, and it's following her to like years later when she's older, and she meets this guy who wants to, get her out of that world,
Hmm.
and she's sort of telling her story, so it kind of flashes back and forward, although mostly it's back, following her story. So it's
Right.
pretty dark, but just captivating right from the opening scenes. Like it just
Hmm.
kept my interest for the whole movie. So
Yeah, right.
I really enjoyed it as much as, well, you know,
Yeah.
it's not an enjoyable story, but
Mm.
it's a really good movie. So
Yeah, right.
it's a good one to watch.
Okay.
So
That
keeping
sounds
and
interesting.
I'll just jump into my other Radiance one.
Sure.
Um, they released this Buñuel box set,
Ooh.
which I picked up, and I
Hmm.
haven't seen any of the films, like because it's Radiance, so it's generally films I don't know. So I watched
Right.
the first one, The Exterminating Angel, because
Huh.
that's the one that sounded the most interesting to me,
Hmm.
and it's a film about a whole bunch of rich people that get together at the home of one of them. I think they've just been out somewhere and they're having a dinner party. And
Hmm.
then as the evening goes on, they
Mm.
just don't leave. And they
Right.
kind of are stuck in this room. And every time people think about leaving, they just get distracted and don't. And
Oh,
then
okay.
it's like there's an invisible barrier that just won't leave the room. And so then, they just kind of end up living in this room and, finding food and finding water and everything because they can't get out to go to the
Mm.
kitchen or anything like that. And so
Right, right.
it's a really weird movie.
Hmm. Yeah.
But yeah, it just is another one that was pretty captivating
Hmm.
through the whole runtime. So I really enjoyed it. So Radiance continue to
Hmm.
bring all these really interesting movies that I did not previously know.
Right, right. Well, I watched something that I didn't ever plan on watching, but I kind of had to for work. So, for those of you who aren't aware, I work in journalism, work for a news site called Independent Australia. And part of my job is to occasionally write movie reviews. And I used to kind of do reviews of, movies that have just come out in cinemas and stuff, but my editor kind of wanted me to start catering towards our demographic. So it's a political news site, largely read by old people. I don't know if I should say that, but anyway, I did. Uh, and so, yeah, I've got to, if ever I review something, it's got to be kind of something that might appeal to, I mean, that being said, she did let me review Terrifier 3 because I said to her, hey, if I put a review of that out there, it might attract, young, cool, hip people. God, I sound old. But anyway, I was glancing at Netflix and I saw something that I thought, hey, this could be kind of fun. And it's a documentary called Jerry Springer Fights Camera Action. And look, I'm not going to lie, I, like millions of other people, fucking loved that show when it was on.
Yeah,
It
I used to watch it.
Look, it's, of course you did. Like everybody did. Well,
Mm.
yeah, if you watch this thing, a lot of people did. So I suggested that to her, and she's like, "Oh, yes, 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 do a review of that." So I sat down and watched this thing, and my God, it's good. If you if you're like a hardcore Jerry Springer fan, or if you only have like a mild passing interest or whatever, like you've got to watch this thing. Um, it featured three of the producers of the show, plus the guy who was the brainchild behind it, the executive producer, and all of these interviews were like no holds barred. Like they didn't sugarcoat anything. They talked about how they psychologically manipulated the guests into going, fighting each other and having massive brawls and stuff. And they addressed the whole issue of, whether it was fake or not. It was not fake. They sometimes did rehearse backstage, with their guests to sort of bring out the worst in them, if you will, like to really get them riled up. Like they would sit there and be like, okay, so, I'm your ex-partner who's cheating on you. How would you feel? Like, talk to me and, things like that. Like they were coaching them. But they even like blackmailed guests. There was a woman who they had on the show who was part of a love triangle, and she got up and left and threatened to walk out. And they said to her, "Okay, well, if you leave now, we're not going to give you your ticket home to Florida." And she was like, "Okay, fine." It's like, holy shit, wow. And she wound up getting murdered by the guy who was part of the love triangle. Like,
Wow.
yeah, none of this stuff was fake. It was all very, very
Well,
real.
I mean, I guess you do attract a certain kind of person that is happy to go on TV and air all their business like that. So,
Yeah, well, that was the thing. The show actually started off as a very bland, boring talk show where, it was that they offered nothing different to any other talk show. And then this, executive producer, Richard Dominic, there you go, I remembered it. He came along, took the job, and he was like, "All right, we're gonna turn this thing into like this punk rock show, and so the first half of the documentary, it's split into two parts. I don't know why. Each episode is just under 50 minutes long, so I don't know what the point of that was. So I'm treating it as a movie. Um, but yeah, the first half of it, you kind of, cheering on this underdog story. You're like, yeah, they just put a call out for the craziest people in America to bring their story in, and they were flooded with
Mm.
calls and, messages and all this sort of stuff. And like they were having trouble, that's why they brought on, like, there was this one guy who they brought on as a producer. He was a freaking bartender. He had no experience whatsoever. But they figured he was a people person, so they brought him on, and he became one of the producers. And yeah, the show became what it is, and I mean the thing lasted for 27 seasons. I don't know if you're aware of that. But then the second part of it goes really dark, and that's when you find out about the manipulation, about the murder. That producer I was just talking about, the ex-bartender, when you find out what caused him to walk away from the show, it is disturbing. Like, I was actually sitting there with my jaw agape. I was like, wow, that is shocking. So yeah, this thing had a lot going for it. It was also extremely well made. Like, a lot of the interviews and stuff were very cinematic in terms of their lighting and stuff. Like, you had all these sort of like red, green, orange lights in the background, and some of the camera angles as well were just really innovative. Like, it was a really well-made documentary. So yeah, funnily enough, I'm actually keen to watch it again. It was so compelling that, yeah, I really want to watch it again. So
It's funny
yeah,
remembering talk shows back in the 90s. I remember because there was Ricky Lake as well.
yep,
And then Sally
Geraldo,
Jesse. What?
Raphael,
Yeah.
Geraldo.
I don't know if that one,
Oh,
I don't remember
well, there
that
was
one.
Oprah Winfrey, of course.
Oh yeah, but no, these ones that did the interesting stories. My
Ah, right,
favorite
right.
when I was young was the ones where they would have the teens that dressed like goths or whatever, and they
Yeah.
would give them makeovers and make them look terrible.
Right,
Or,
right.
my kid thinks they're a vampire, or this person thinks
Mm.
they're a vampire. And I remember there was some that would go to the supermarket to try and get the blood from the butcher section, and I all those crazy ones. Yeah, they were
Oh
really fun.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it just made for I know it was trashy, but it just made for
Yeah.
really
Well, it's
entertaining
just, yeah, daytime
television.
TV. I think they were on sort of earlier in the afternoon before you got to your more sitcoms like your
Mm.
Blossom and your Boy Meets World and all that kind
Yeah,
of
yeah.
stuff that I was like right at that age to
Yeah.
be
Well, it was
into
interesting
that
because
stuff.
Richard Dominic said that his goal was to make a show that if you turned the volume down on your TV and you were channel surfing, you would stop at the Jerry Springer show, because of just how outrageous it was to look at, and I thought, yeah, that's
Yeah.
a really interesting tactic. I thought that was quite fascinating. Um,
The thing with that though is sometimes I remember that you just sometimes had no idea what was going on because they
mm,
would beep out all the words. And
yeah,
sometimes it was so censored that you're like, I don't even know what they're
mm,
saying because I can't
yeah, yeah,
make it out. But yeah, Jerry Springer was a bit less interesting because it was the more over the top one. But
mm.
yeah, I definitely saw many episodes.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, same. Like, yeah, it was one of those things that if you happen to turn the TV on and it was there, it's like, yep, I am not changing the channel. I don't care what it is. I am gonna watch this because yeah, it is gonna be interesting. But
Mm.
yeah, no, this was a fascinating glimpse at what went on behind the scenes. And yeah, like I said, it took a really dark turn. I'll tell you about that later on if you oh, is this something you might actually end up watching?
Maybe.
All right, well, I won't tell you what it was that made this guy quit his job because yeah, it was
Mm.
just horrible. But yeah. Anyway, so yeah, that was like I said, something that I never planned on watching, but oh my God, I am so glad I did because yeah, it
I
was
actually
quite
didn't
brilliant.
even know that this existed until
Yeah,
I
right.
saw that you'd logged it. So it hasn't
Yeah,
really, I
yeah.
haven't heard anyone mention it.
No, I just happened to Kylie had been watching something on Netflix and it ended or whatever, and it came up with I think it might have been like a suggestions thing or something like that.
Mm.
And I saw that there and I was like, oh, I'd like to know more about what, went on backstage with that show. And yeah, wow. It was
I guess
good.
it's probably not getting the press because, I mean, I don't know when that show ended, but I feel like there'd be,
2018, I think it was.
oh, it went for that long.
27 seasons,
I
yeah.
just think of it as a 90s thing.
Well, that's the thing as well. This is something that you would really love in this. It had so much 90s nostalgia. Just everything from the way people were dressed to just the kind of, you know, themes going on at the time and everything. Like, yeah, it was a real blast of 90s nostalgia. So, yeah, no, I really think that you should check it out. I think you'd actually quite enjoy it.
Hmm.
Yeah. That is everything that I have watched. So,
I just have a little bit more.
yeah. This is
I'm
over to
just
you now.
going to mention my newfound love for Gian Maria Volonte, and so I was
Yes.
looking around what other movies of his were available
hmm
besides what Radiance have given me,
hmm
and I found this one on sale on Amazon, Le Cercle Rouge. What?
I just, yeah. Remember that thing we had in our messenger chat with, I just can't take that movie seriously anymore.
Uh,
Okay.
it,
So, Frankie posted a thing about, what was it? The last film you watched is the name of your private parts.
yeah.
And that was the last
Yeah,
thing
this
you
was
had
mine,
watched.
which translates to the red circle.
Yep.
So
Uh, I
yeah,
mean,
I can't believe that stuck in your mind. I'd forgotten
every
even
time I
that
look
we
at that
had that
title now,
discussion.
I think, yeah. Hey,
Wow.
mine was and then there were none. So yeah, we both failed in that one, but I think you
um,
failed the worst because
yeah.
yeah. Anyway,
Anyway,
please continue, Red Circle.
so this was for sale on Amazon, and this one, The Vanishing, was also
Oh,
on sale. And so I thought, well, double blind buy. I haven't watched
why
The
not?
Vanishing yet, but it's very hyped up as being a very disturbing movie with quite the ending. So
Oh.
I will get to that soon. I think
hmm
it's Danish.
Ah, like my
Uh,
dad.
Dutch.
Ah, my
Oh
dad's not
wait,
Dutch.
is that?
No. What?
Yes. Well, the audio is English, German, and Dutch. So
Right.
there we go.
That's
I think
definitely
it's
not
Dutch.
Danish then.
No,
No.
it was a D word.
One of those D words, yeah.
Yeah. But I watched this one. This one is French, obviously. And so it was nice to see Volonté speaking French because I
Mm,
haven't seen that before.
right.
But this, I have sort of known about it. It's quite a big film because of it apparently has a very famous heist scene. I didn't know that that scene was famous.
hmm
But yeah, this movie follows a criminal who has escaped. He's been transported and he escapes, which
hmm
is Volante. And he comes across this other guy and they kind of team up to do this robbery.
hmm
And then there's a third man who is used to be a cop and now is not. And it's a bit little convoluted, but they
Mm.
all pretty much come together to do this job. And that's the movie is them like the criminals got to escape being caught because the cop guy who was transporting him is searching for him, but also doing this robbery. And I'm making it not sound that interesting, but it is
Oh,
very,
absolutely.
very good. It's very stylish movie.
hmm
So even though the plot, I mean, I'm not saying it's like badly written
Yeah.
or anything. I'm just saying it's a plot that's in a lot of movies. It's not
hmm
anything especially different,
Yeah.
but it's done well and
hmm
looks good. And yeah, there's a lot of scenes where there's no background music,
Right.
and it really puts you in the scene, especially that famous heist scene. You
hmm
sound as just what is there. There's no
hmm
music or anything. And so yeah, very fascinating film. I really enjoyed it. So
Yeah, cool.
I definitely recommend that one.
This really, you know, captures the essence of you and me. It's like, you've got sort of, French cinema and, sort of something like that. And then here's me like, Jerry, Jerry, Jerry. Like, all right.
Hmm.
So is that your
Yeah, that's it.
wow. Well, yeah, so here we are. We've begun 2025. It's a whole new year. It's a fresh start for all of those who need a fresh start. I don't know. I'm not one of those people. Are you one of those people? You don't need a
I
fresh
like,
start.
yeah, I always have a fresh start.
Oh, really? See,
Well,
I'm
yeah,
kind
it's a
of,
new year. Like I reset my movies watched count, my books watched count. I've had
yeah,
actual holidays to get over work, so I'm feeling a bit more energy. I mean, not
yeah.
like major ways, like
Hmm.
but it just new year feels like a reset, and it's like a maybe this year will be a better year.
See, I'm not feeling, I think because having kids last year has kind of like everything just is now just like this chronological thing. Like, Harper is now standing up by herself. She's not even 8 months. She's 8 months old in 2 days' time. Apparently, she's not supposed to be standing up till she's like 11 months old. And she's holding on to things and standing herself up, things like that. Like there's all this stuff going on. And then, my Christmas holidays, I had COVID, now got a head cold. So that was just all kind of, a bit, I don't even really feel like we've gone into a new year. Um, but what are some of your what are some of your goals and plans and things for this year? Like
Yeah, I will just say when I suggested this as a topic, I'm thinking specifically on movies, not
mm,
life stuff,
hmm
because I don't make goals for my
nah,
life. I don't do New Year's resolutions
yeah.
or any of that stuff. So I just think in terms of movies, and
Mm,
I have started a movie journal this year, just
nice.
for fun. And so
Mm.
I just made little fancy things. So
Frankie holds up notebook.
my I have some movie projects that I want to remember because I forget about my movie projects. I
You do
started
have quite a
one,
few.
yeah, well, there's sort of projects and then just things I want to do, which
Hmm.
I'll explain the difference as I go. But
Sure.
I started a movie project last year of 50 years, 50 films, which, as the title suggests, I watch 50 films on each of 50 years, starting from 1920 and going along. And
Hmm.
I got up to 1926 last year, and then I forgot about it. So
Hmm.
I stopped. So I'm bringing that back this year, but I am not doing it chronologically. I'm just going to watch a film from each of those 50 years,
Hmm.
which I've done two already because I watched Love and Larceny from 1960 and The Exterminating Angel was 1962. So
Right.
I've got two marked off already. So
Woohoo.
I'm going to get that completed this year. And
Hmm.
then I do have some actor and director projects. I just decided this year I'm going to watch all of Tarantino's films in
Oh,
order.
nice. At least there's not that
Um,
many.
yeah, and well, I wouldn't do it for someone who had tons of films. It's too much. But there's two of his films I still haven't got around to seeing, which I don't know
What?
why, because yeah, that's
Which
just
two?
weird. Death Proof and The
Hmm.
Hateful Eight. So
Right, right.
I'm going to watch all of them in order. Also, movies like Pulp Fiction, I haven't seen that for like 20 years or
Hmm.
something. Like it's been so long. So
Wow.
yeah, I just thought I'll just watch all of them in
Mm.
order and just
In one
yeah,
day.
yeah.
No,
Not in
the
one day.
the challenge has been thrown your way. You have to watch his whole filmography in one day.
Mm. Yeah, that's
No.
not happening.
Oh, fine. Party pooper.
And my other one is I have two projects that are also chronological ones.
Hmm.
As I mentioned, I think I took a hiatus from that. So I'm going to bring that back, starting with The Help. And
Hmm.
I think I've just written down the ones I haven't seen, but I might watch the Amazing Spider-Man movies as well, which I have
Yeah,
already
cool.
seen just because I liked them.
Hmm.
And then Robert Pattinson, um, I'd forgotten that I was doing the same with him because he has made such interesting choices in his films after Twilight when he kind of got to that stage where he could just do what he wanted, which is
Mm.
always fun to see actors do. And um, yeah, I started and got to Twilight and then stopped because I've seen Twilight before, and I started the second one and gave up, I think, or maybe I watched the second one and started the third and gave up. I do not remember. I'll have
Mm.
to wait and see, but I've got to watch them, of course. So
Yeah.
I have the story fresh for the later ones, which apparently do get pretty good in the later ones. Plus, Peter Murphy, the
Mm.
singer of Bauhaus,
Mm.
is in one of them,
Oh, is
which
he?
is pretty amazing. I think he plays a guy called the Cold One or
Oh,
something,
okay.
which is quite fitting.
Mm.
And then they're my only projects, but I've also got in my journal the actors that I want to watch all of their films. So I've just
Mm.
made a list. So I have them to hand. I can tick them off just to
Mm.
see how
Mm.
many I do. So that's it. I've also got TV stuff in my journal because I've got a million TV shows on the go and I just want to mark when I finish seasons and actually try and get through them so I don't have a million shows on the
Right,
go.
right.
And I did have a project that got abandoned long ago to the point where I watched films and I didn't realize, like, I'd forgotten that I had them as part of that project until I saw the list one day. And that
Mm.
was what I called films I should have got to by now,
Right, right.
or something like that, which
Yeah.
was, famous films that I haven't seen that
Mm.
most people have seen.
Oh, we
And
all
it,
have
it,
those.
it gave me some hits like Rocky. I had never watched Rocky because I thought it's a boxing movie. I won't like it. And
Nah,
then, of course, I did like it.
very
But then
much.
on the flip side, I finally watched The Graduate and I definitely did not like that. And I watched The Deer Hunter, which was fine.
Mm.
So yeah, it works both ways.
Yeah.
But I had 60 films and I planned to do another list after I had got through all of them.
Hmm.
And this time I'm just going to kind of try and incorporate that into my 50 years, 50 films, because a number of the films on that list were old enough to be within that 50 years that I'm looking at.
Hmm.
So we'll see how I go because yeah, I watch a lot of movies, but there's still some really famous ones that I have not got to yet. So
Mm.
I want
Yeah,
to try
right.
and fix some blind spots. I
Mm.
still have not seen Casablanca or Citizen Kane.
I I haven't
Citizen
seen Citizen
Kane,
Kane.
actually, Citizen Kane gets talked up so much
Oh yeah.
about greatest film of all time kind
Yeah,
of
yeah.
talk that I'm kind of scared I'll watch it and I won't like it.
Yeah. I'm kind of the same as well. Like I only know basic things of what it's about and stuff, and I'm sort of like, really? Like it doesn't sound that appealing. Like, I don't know. But yeah, I'm kind of the same. I'm like, I just want to sort of, keep the anticipation in my mind of like, oh, it's gonna be so good. And then,
Mm.
I'll just die peacefully thinking, wow, that movie would have been
Yeah,
amazing,
because
rather
this
than watching and
because
going, really? Is that all?
there's always the films people talk about that I
Yeah.
watch and I'm like, oh, like The Graduate,
Mm.
and I watch it and I'm like, no, I did not like this, and
Yeah, yeah.
but Citizen Kane is one of those ones that very few people will at least admit that they don't like it. So,
Okay, here's so I've got this. I know that I need to know this, but I'm sure the audience right now is dying to know. If you had to watch either The Graduate or Neil Breen's Fateful Findings, which one would you choose?
well, I would watch Fateful Findings
Yes.
because I I didn't hate it.
Yeah, it's a
The
fun time.
Graduate, The Graduate, is famous for the music,
Mm,
for Simon and Garfunkel, and
yeah.
I don't actively listen to Simon and Garfunkel, but
Who
I
does?
I enjoy them.
We're not boomers. I mean, come on. What? Too soon?
That's you're just being very disrespectful, saying only old people like music from older years. I listen to a lot of older music, but I just mean I don't own their
Okay, boomer.
albums, but I enjoy the songs when they come on. And then after that movie, I was like, I never want to hear Simon and Garfunkel for like a year
Yeah,
because every
right.
time I heard the songs, I would think of the movie.
Yeah,
I don't
no,
even
that's fair
remember a
enough.
lot of the movie now because it wasn't
Mm,
my brain didn't need to remember it. So I don't
yeah,
even
fair
remember
enough.
exactly what I didn't like about it, but just
Yeah.
I was really
Mm.
disappointed in that one.
Oh, well, I'm happy to say that my darling wife Kylie, she got has gotten to a point. She listens to absolutely every episode of this podcast, which is, amazing. And it kind of hurts her a little bit every time that like we talk about movies, especially like, when you and Nobbins, would rattle off all these movies like, oh my God, this movie was so good and everyone's seen it and this movie's so good. And I'm just kind of sitting here like, because I don't really get to watch a lot of things. Um, and it was actually kind of bothering her a little bit. And like I said to her, like, it's the sort of thing I know that I'm often joking about how, I don't get to watch anything anymore and stuff. But I mean, on the flip side, every minute I spend with these two amazing children, I'm like, God, it's so worth it. I would sacrifice watching an entire year of movies, for these kids. Like it's just that simple. So I've assured her, like, everything's fine, but it is kind of bothering her. And so she wants to do a thing now. I can't remember if she said like once a month or something where we have a movie day. We get her family to mind the kids, and we go lock ourselves in the bedroom, put the air conditioner on, grab snacks or whatever, and just have an entire day where we catch up on The Substance, Joker 2, freaking everything that we've been missing out on. And yeah, I'm kind of like I'm not going to argue with that idea. Um, that actually sounds pretty good to me. So
Mm.
yeah, so this year we might actually, start being able to catch up on things because, like, I know Nosferatu is hitting streaming in a couple of days' time and stuff, and we didn't get to see that in the cinemas, which is a bit. I still wouldn't mind seeing it on a bigger screen, but I'll just take it however I can get it.
I think
Uh,
that's streaming overseas, maybe because it's still in cinemas now here.
okie dokie. Well, there you go. Thank you for smashing down my hopes and dreams.
Well, I mean, but hey, if you can get time to get to a cinema, it is still playing.
Yes, yes, yes. We'll see what we can do. But yeah, so there's that. So this year my depressing letterboxd graph from last year that peaked in January, February, where I was watching, several movies a day and everything, and then just went down all the way down to some weeks where there was zero towards the end there. Yeah, that may be changing. But I'm also thankfully getting back into more filmmaking stuff this year. So as I mentioned before, we've got this little thing that I'm doing at the moment. So, my boss at work, he writes poetry, and he wrote this poem called 3 p.m., which is essentially about how in a workplace, that hour between 3 and 4 can just feel like a freaking hellish eternity. And it's a really good poem. So he had this idea of, doing almost like a short film kind of a thing to accompany it. And so, yeah, like I said, I said to him, okay, I'm going to shoot this thing on my phone because phone camera's brilliant. He had no idea. He was like, yep, okay, sounds good. And we've done this a really different way. So, as you would know, like any film project, requires a lot of planning. You sit down, you think about like the shots you want, you write things down, make storyboards if you have the time, all of this sort of stuff. We are literally making this up as we go along. We thought, okay, we're going to film it in the office. We had a few ideas for things. And like I said, I was kind of taking that David Lynch-esque inspiration and thinking to myself, I want to do some weird shit with this. I want to like really, yeah, just stuff that is, borderline art house, if you will. And so yeah, we just sat down with sort of, okay, let's do this, this, and this, and then we'd go film it, and as we're doing it, it's like, oh, how about if we do this, and so I've been editing this thing together, and it's actually coming out really freaking good. I am so supremely happy with it. And like he gave me this idea. He said, because I'm in this thing. It's basically just him and I. He's sort of, the boss, and I'm the disgruntled employee. And he gave me this idea of he said, oh, in the start, like a montage of, you sort of waking up late and, getting out of bed and like, in a hurry to get to work and stuff. And I was like, okay. And I thought, could do it the traditional way, just like a series of shots. But I came up with this idea in my head and I was like, okay, what if we do it, I'll film myself against a green screen, just, kind of like in a sleeping position and then sort of waking up and then, grabbing a shirt off camera, putting that on, grabbing a toothbrush, and everything. And then I'll film a background plate of, looking down at my pillow and then, bringing the camera up and then walking backwards into the bathroom and stuff like that. And so, if you can sort of imagine that, like, it'll just be this seamless thing of me like rising up off the pillow, and even though I'm not actually walking, it'll be almost like I'm on a dolly with wheels or something, so I'm coming up with all this like really creative stuff, and it's a hell of a lot of fun. So yeah, I mean, because it's been, well, now 11 years since the last short film that I made. Like I've done a lot of music videos since then, but yeah, it's just really good to actually be getting back into this kind of thing. But I've also got coming up on the 2nd of February an actual music video shoot as well, which unfortunately it's just going to be like a live performance thing, in a venue with a crowd and stuff. But which, yeah, can be a bit boring. I really want to sort of do more narrative music videos, like that's a lot more interesting and fun and creative. But at least it's another music video, so there's that. But I also recently had a message from someone. Now, I'm not going to drop any names here. I had a message from a certain YouTuber who fancies himself as a filmmaker, and who named himself after a particular bird. You know who I'm talking about?
Mm.
A bird of peace. Um, who messaged me asking if I was interested in directing a remake or reboot of a horror film that he did that was just abysmal. It was the worst thing you could ever imagine. And I straight away I'm thinking no. But anyway, he's like, "Oh, I've sent you the script." I'm like, "Okay, like let's have a look at this thing." So I sat down and had a look, and like it's a 49-page script. Like the original movie went for like 3 minutes or something. And I'm like, wow, okay, this is an interesting reboot. So I start reading this thing and I'm like, this is actually kind of good. Like, this opening scene, I thought it's got me wanting to turn the page. Like that's the number one rule of screenwriting, is that people have got to want to turn from the first page, like it's got to be that interesting, like straight away. And I was like, okay, yeah, I want to find out more, so I'm reading this thing. I got about 5 pages in and I'm thinking, this is actually going to be kind of expensive though, because, you know, the second scene in the thing involves like a high school athletics carnival or something, and all of this stuff going on, and I'm thinking in terms of like hiring extras, hiring everything, like, school uniforms, whatever. It's like, wow. So I messaged him and I said, "Oh, but what's your budget for this thing, and how are you going to raise the money?" Because I'm thinking like the first few pages are going to be several $1,000s, and I'm estimating a 50-minute film is going to be, 20 grand or whatever. So he writes back to me. He's like, "Oh, I've got $1,000 set aside to make this thing." And yeah, bless his little heart. I mean, hey, at least he's enthusiastic. So yeah, I had to break it to him. I was like, dude, the opening scene alone is gonna cost more than that. Like I'm talking like the first page is gonna cost more than that. So yeah, you might want to rethink your strategy there. And so yeah, he's I don't know what he's doing with it now, but anyway, yeah, needless to say, I won't be making that film. I mean, the guy lives in Canberra, like, flying me down alone to, it's like, yeah, wow. So I think the lesson we can all learn in that is that, maybe sometimes it's best to not be too ambitious. Reach for the stars, but only if you've got a big enough ladder. There you go. There's some wisdom. Um, so yeah, that's kind of my movie related 2025. Hopefully
Mm.
I'm going to be doing some more creative stuff. So
I
Yeah.
have one more thing
Yeah.
in relation to my movie library stuff.
Mm.
And I got this idea from years and years back. There used to be a podcast called Nerd on Nerd, and Liam was co-host on that podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And
Of
hello, Liam, if you are listening.
course
He
he is.
he did a thing on there where he wanted to be a bit more accountable for how many movies in his library he had that were unwatched. And so
Right.
he would give updates on the episodes of, how many he'd watched and how many he'd bought and all of that. So I'm doing a similar thing. I'm not giving numbers because it's quite a big number and I
Mm.
don't want to admit what that is. But I thought I might just focus on how many movies I'm watching from my shelves every month and how
Hmm.
many new ones are coming in
Right,
and
right.
try to keep things. I mean, I it got a bit out of control last year because I had a few big box sets, like the All the Hornsby Hours Volume 2 has 20 something movies, and then if you
Mm.
add in all the short films on it, it becomes like 40 something movies.
Right.
And I've started tracking the short films in. I have lists on Letterboxd of movies I own,
Hmm.
and so I've been adding shorts to that as well just to track them, so they count as numbers in my library. And so, yeah, I'm just gonna, just if I have to tell you every month, and then I
Mm.
track it every month, like my overall library numbers and stuff. But I just thought maybe if I have to admit it, I might be a bit more conscious about things. I mean, so far it's pretty good. That Joker 2 Steelbook is the only thing I've bought in January. So
Hmm.
I will have the Radiance films every month because I just, every
Mm.
month I'm getting all of their releases, and they're always movies I haven't watched because they're usually movies I haven't heard of,
Right.
but they are good, so I take that chance. But
Hmm.
yeah, so I thought I'll just have a little physical media update corner or something
Yeah,
on
yeah,
our
cool.
episodes and just see
Hmm.
how things are going. I'm going to try to do the same with books, and um, like I had a terrible reading year last year, but I
Oh,
still
same.
bought compared to my normal, but I still bought a number of books. And so I did end up buying more books than I read last
Hmm.
year, which is not a good way to go. I
Yeah.
mean, it's fine. I'm happy to have tons of books because then when I feel like reading, it's like a library. I can be
Mm.
like, what am I in the mood for? What do I want to read?
Yeah.
But, got to keep it in perspective. So,
Yeah.
yeah, same with the movies. I just need to cut back on purchases.
Mhm.
And yeah, streaming is a distraction too from watching the things on my shelves.
Mm.
So it's
Yeah.
finding the right. I've done pretty good at watching stuff off my shelves this month. It's been a lighter movie month. I think I like watched so many 2024 releases up to the end of the year, and so then
Mm.
I've just watched very few movies since
Hmm.
then compared to normal. But yeah, we'll see how we go.
Fair enough. All right. Well, speaking of movies coming out this year, I don't know, will we? I don't know, but that's a segue. I'm just
Probably.
dropping that in there. Um, what there are a lot of really big, great movies coming out this year. And so I reckon it's time to get stuck into what some of our most anticipated
Mm.
films of this year are. Now, I think because obviously our lists are gonna have a lot of similar films. So I think we should just like take turns at mentioning a
Well,
movie
yeah, I
title.
just thought we would just go month by month, maybe.
Oh no, we're not going month by month because I have not
Didn't know.
got any of these in any sort of monthly order. I went on
Okay,
to
well, I went through a list, so mine are pretty much all in order anyway.
mine. I went to IMDb and I looked up the list of movies coming out this year in terms of popularity. So my
Uh,
list is in terms
yeah.
of that. So
I just went to well, I started off an event and then I ran out of time, so I didn't go anywhere else. So I do
yeah,
only have the main movies, but I have
yeah.
enough of them, so it's fine. I
All right.
remembered one other one, but
Mm,
yeah, there's probably other ones that I haven't thought of that I was going to look at Palace because they get all,
mm.
foreign films and things, but I ran out of time. So
Fair enough.
yeah.
All right. Well, you can commence this journey into the year of film. What do you got on
Well,
first on your list?
I have some January films, so
Hmm.
I'll just get it out of the way. The
Mm.
Brutalist is out
Hmm.
here, I think, next week,
Right.
which, came out last year overseas. And I think nearly everyone has seen it already here because it played at
Mm.
a festival and has had advanced screenings. But
Hmm.
yeah, I'd like to see that one.
Hmm.
And Companion also comes out in January, which looks quite interesting. So
Yeah, right.
that may be the first horror for the year.
Yeah, yeah. Well, yeah. I'm not going with January. So the first movie on look, we've already discussed it, Superman. I mean, come on, that's probably I would say that's my number one most anticipated movie of this year, for all the reasons that I've already given. Actually, let's just do a comic book movie like thing here. So Captain America Brave New World. I I'll go see it because I think I've seen every single MCU film in theaters. So, yeah, I have actually because I went and saw that Wakanda Forever one, even though I deeply regretted it because I hated that film. Um, oh, controversy. Yes, I hated it. It sucked. Um, yeah, I wasn't a huge fan of the TV series that introduced the guy who's oh fuck me, I really can't remember Sam Wilson as the new Captain America. Yeah, I can't even remember what the show was called now. I wasn't a big fan of it,
Oh,
but
is that the Falcon?
and the Winter Soldier was that it?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I haven't watched that.
I wasn't a fan. But yeah, look, I don't know, fresh take on Captain America, I think could be fun. There is, of course, the new Fantastic Four,
Mm.
which I didn't mind was it early 2000s ones? Like, I know that they were just absolutely horribly bashed by everybody, but I thought they were okay. Fant Four Stick, though, was just an abomination. I hated that. But I reckon this one might be all right. And then of course there's Thunderbolts,
Mm.
which kind of looks like almost an MCU version of Suicide Squad, and yeah, I think that one could be a lot of fun. So yeah,
Yeah, well,
that's
the
my
the characters were fun. Was that Black
mm.
Widow that
Y-
they got introduced?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So yeah, I'm
mm.
interested in that for seeing them again.
Yeah, definitely.
Um, Captain America, I don't know, the trailer didn't grab me for that one. So
I like the idea of Harrison Ford being in it and Red Hulk and stuff there's a lot of things in it that have got me interested. So yeah, I'd definitely like to check it out.
mm.
Yeah, I'll go in with an open
And
mind.
yeah, Fantastic Four I'm looking forward to. It's got a great
Mm,
cast.
yeah,
So
yeah,
I
exactly.
don't know anything about Fantastic Four, so
Hmm.
it'll all be new to me.
There you go. All right, what's
Mm.
next on your list?
I forgot to say before, Flight Risk looks like it might be fun.
Mm.
Just, you know, that whole story of being in a plane and you have to take out the pilot. So then
Yeah.
what happens? Also, the pilot is a hitman that wants to kill you. So,
Hmm. Yeah.
or at least kill the passenger.
Yeah, yeah.
So, yeah. Okay. In February, then we have September 5,
Hmm.
which I saw the trailer for a while ago, and that sounds quite interesting. Do you know
Hmm.
about that one?
I do not.
It's about when something happened at the Olympics. I don't remember now, but it's basically showing they were
Oh, the
live.
hostage situation.
Yeah, they were live
Ah,
broadcasting. Yeah,
yeah.
and so I think it's set kind of in real, maybe not real time, but it's following the people in the newsroom with the broadcasts and everything.
Ah,
But what's
okay.
also interesting is when they're showing the stuff on TV, it's like the
Yeah.
actual TV footage from when it
Yeah.
happened, and then they're just filming around that. So it looks pretty fascinating. So I'm looking forward to that one. And also, it's a good horror month. We've got The Monkey, which
Mm.
we talked about before, and
Hmm.
also Presence, which looks interesting because that's a haunted house movie, but from the perspective of the spirit. So,
Ah, okay, cool.
um, yeah, you need to watch the trailer for that. They've released these
Yeah.
little teaser things for a while now,
Mm.
and then they released a longer kind of trailer. But yeah, when they first started, it's like, well, what is this? It was all about atmosphere, and you didn't know what was going on. But
Yeah,
then,
yeah.
yeah, now it's become a thing that, yeah, so don't know what's going on with the spirits and everything, but it's,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, the camera is their perspective
Mm-hmm.
looking at the people in the house. So
Right, right.
that's pretty
Sorry, I'm
interesting.
just going back to September 5. I'm actually now really interested in this film because I once saw a documentary and I saw it in a theater as well, and I can't remember why, but there was a movie called One Day in September, and it was a documentary about that incident, but it kind of shocked me because they it actually really sort of taught me a lot about what makes a good documentary because they actually interviewed one of the terrorists. Um, and, some of the things that these people did were just utterly despicable. And, this guy was just like talking about murdering innocent people and stuff. And it's just like, I'm sitting there like, fuck, how are they interviewing this guy? Like, what's going and it sort of taught me that like a good documentary is unbiased. It will present both sides of a story and it won't say, you know, won't lean towards which one's right, which one's wrong, even though it's up to the audience to determine that. But yeah, that was actually a really riveting documentary. And so you've got me interested in this one now because yeah, it taught me a lot about that thing in the 72 Summer Olympics and stuff. So yeah, thank you for bringing that onto my radar. I have added it to my watch
Mm,
list. All right. I am not going to talk about 28 years later. We've already talked about that. The other one that I've now got on my radar, and I'm just fascinated because it's been 29 years since the last one. Happy Gilmore 2. I'm all over it, honestly. Um, I started watching the first Happy Gilmore the other day. I had to it was interrupted by a 45-minute drive out to try and find a carton of eggs. Um, okay, that sounds weird. I had to make dinner. We didn't have enough eggs. I went out. There's supply shortages everywhere. Like it took me 45 minutes to find eggs. By the time I got home, I was like, I think I've missed some of the film. But it was like it was on in the background, and it was just making me think, like, wow, there's a sequel coming out 29 years later, and I just love that idea. And I honestly think the first one was, for me, it was arguably Sandler's best film. Like a lot of his films were just kind of so freaking immature. Like Billy Madison just makes me cringe every time I watch it. But Happy Gilmore hit all the right notes, and yeah, I'm really looking forward to this second one. I don't know anything about it other than they've got Shooter McGavin back and stuff, but yeah, it should be a fun time, I reckon. I'm gonna dust off my Boston Bruins jersey to go and see it. Because yes, I loved the first one that much that I bought a Boston Bruins jersey at the time.
and I have no idea what that is. So,
It's the hockey jersey that he wears in the films, like
okay.
Boston Bruins jersey. Anyway, please keep going.
Oh, the other one we mentioned earlier, Snow White's coming out finally, so
Yes.
I'm looking forward to seeing that.
Hmm.
There's a movie called The Amateur coming out in April, which has Rami Malek, who, um, yeah, I meant to revisit details, but basically
Hmm.
his wife gets killed and he goes out for revenge. So he's like training to be able to go after people because he's not
Right.
actually, he's like involved some way with some organization. So,
Okay.
but the trailer looks like that might be kind of interesting. And
Hmm.
so
I've
that's
not
a
heard
sort
of
of
that
one
one.
on my list.
Yeah, yeah. Well, a couple of others that we already mentioned before, Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. I'm all over that. That previous installment was so goddamn good. I mean, this whole franchise, apart from number two,
Mm.
is so goddamn good. So yeah, how can you go wrong with this last one? And yeah, we talked about Mickey 17 earlier because yeah, when that trailer
Yeah.
dropped, you and I watched that and we were just like, oh boy, this looks like a good time. Um, so yeah,
Yeah. So some May films because we're kind of up to May. Well, I
mhm.
am.
Yeah, I know.
um,
Yeah. Sorry, we got our wires crossed here, but oh
well,
well.
I was going through a list, so mine just ended up in order.
Yeah, no, that's fair
Um,
enough. Hey, chaos is what we're all about.
the new Final Destination
Mm,
Bloodlines is coming out in May. And although I think the fifth movie had the most perfect ending it could have,
hmm
I am still curious to see this one
mm.
because, um, you know, as much as I don't enjoy every movie in the franchise, and I think most people know what the worst movie is, I am still interested. Like overall, I think it's a good franchise and
Mm,
it's a
yeah,
cool idea. So
exactly.
I'm looking forward to seeing what they do with it. And
Mm.
Richard Harmon is in this one, so you know
Mm.
that's a point of interest for me as well, like
hmm
extra thing. And
mm.
oh, we already mentioned the other May ones I had. Oh no, hang
Okay.
on. Am I? Oh, I
I don't know.
missed one from February.
Oh, what was that?
The Count of Monte Cristo. This is
Right.
a French film coming out
hmm
that I think maybe I just saw a social media post from a random person,
hmm
and then I went and looked up the trailer, and it looks really cool. Looks really
Okay.
pretty. So,
Right.
um, yeah, I'm guessing that'll be only at Palace. So I don't know how easy it's going to be to see for me. So, but
Yeah.
anyway, eventually
hmm
I'll see it somehow.
Right. Next one on my list was now this is a film I don't know if you're aware. This is actually based on a story by Stephen King, The Monkey.
Yeah,
Did
I
you
mentioned
know?
that before.
Oh, we did too.
Yeah, no, but I also said, you know, February horror, the monkey, and presents.
Oh, you mentioned the monkey. Yeah, okay. Well,
Yeah, I
I'll
just didn't go into detail because we had mentioned it earlier.
yeah, no,
But
that's fair enough. I well, the next one on my list is Tron 3. When Tron Legacy came out, I remember a few of us we rewatched the very first one prior to our first screening of Legacy, and I don't think that movie aged very well. And I'm not talking about the extremely basic computer graphics and stuff. Just I don't know, like the story wasn't as engrossing as it was when I was a kid. But then we went and saw Tron Legacy, and holy fuck, that movie blew my mind. Like, it just looks incredible. You hear a lot of times like people talk about movies like Avatar and stuff like that, and they're like, oh my God, I really want to live in that world. I loved the look of the computer world of Tron Legacy, how everything was just this pristine glass and blue neon and, you know, Olivia Wilde in a skin tight outfit. But, aside from that, but like, no, it just looks serene. I was just like, I want to live there because I would just be at peace every single day. But I thought, the story was really cool and everything. And yeah, I'm very interested in this third one. And
mm.
I don't care what people say. I like the fact that Jared Leto was in it because he is a beautiful human being. And yeah.
I
Anyway,
haven't seen the Tron films. They're on my list to watch, so I'll get to them before the third one comes out.
and unfriend. No. Yeah, like I said, yeah, well, you might really enjoy the first one if it's your first time watching it, but yeah, no, that second one and the second one particularly in 3D, like, oh, far out, that movie just really made good use of 3D. So yeah, no, I am very much looking forward to Tron Ares or whatever, however you pronounce it, Ares, Ars. This one is about this one's about
Pirates.
pirates. Yeah, exactly. Digital pirates who like download movies and they accidentally download Tron and he comes out of a computer and is like, Ars. Yeah. Please tell me what's next on your list.
Okay, have some June movies. We have Megan 2.0.
Yes, yes, we
So,
do.
curious to see
I really enjoyed
what
that
they do
first
with that
one
one.
so much. Yeah, that one was on my list as well because
Hmm.
yeah, very curious.
We also have Ballerina, which I
Oh
haven't,
yeah.
I don't know if anything's been released for that yet, but I mean, it's John Wick world, so
Mm,
it gets my interest.
yep.
So we'll see what that one is.
hmm
And F1, the Brad Pitt racing movie comes out then.
Yeah. I've got a mild interest in it. I've got a feeling it's going to be one of these movies that is going to be a huge hit and it's going to be critically acclaimed and the fans are going to love it and it's going to make me think, oh, I should actually be more excited about this film. That's my prediction for that one.
Well, we all know how you feel about car games, but it's by the director who did Top Gun Maverick, so
Car games. I like car
what?
games. You said you know how I feel
Oh,
about car games.
okay. I meant car movies.
Did you though?
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. My next one is Predator Badlands. Now, yeah, the Predator franchise for me is it kind of goes up and down. Like, I mean, the first one is an action classic. The second one I thought was okay, but then things like Predators and The Predator were pretty bland. Don't even get me started on the Alien versus Predator films. But then, of course, a couple of years ago, we had that movie Prey, which was,
Mm.
in my book, I actually think it was better than the first Predator. If I'm putting all nostalgia aside and Arnold, get to the chopper, all of it, like, oh my God, it's a classic. But in terms of quality, I really thought Prey was just outstanding. It was
Mm.
such a great film.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I'm all on board for another Predator film. Yeah, if it's even half as good as the last one, it's going to be a great film. So yeah. Look, I'll rattle off another couple because you're going like movie, and I'm just like, here's one. Now You See Me 3 is coming out this year. I know you're a fan of the
Mm.
first two. I'm also a
Yes.
fan. So yeah, those are good fun. And we just talked about this yesterday, Until Dawn. So the trailer has just come out for that, which yeah, I loved the video game. You haven't yet loved it, but you will because I lent it to you years ago and you still haven't played it yet, but you'll get
I
around to
don't
it.
often play games.
I know,
So
but this one is so
yeah.
cinematic. It
I
is like
know, but that's
actually
what I mean. I
being in a
haven't
horror
like
film.
we play poker and I do a bit of Beat Saber, but to actually sit and play a normal game,
Mm,
I don't even remember the last time I did that.
yeah, but this is not a normal game. So yeah, so this trailer came out and I'm watching it, I'm like, is this meant to be based on the game? And so I looked it up, like, yeah, it is just a threadbare similarity. As far as like there's a missing person, people, looking for Peter Stormare, who I just think is one of my most favorite actors of all time. He's in it. His character has the same surname as the doctor he played in the video game, but he's a different character this time. So, it's very, very loosely based on it. But no, look, I thought the trailer looked all right. I thought, it's got that kind of time loop thing that I like, well, sort of like a time loop thing. So
Hmm.
that's got me interested. Um, yeah, I thought it looked all right. So yeah, there you go. What
Hmm.
else?
We have the new Conjuring movie coming out
Yeah.
as well in September.
Hmm.
So, I wasn't so into the last one, but I
Yeah.
am always happy to give another one a look. We also have The Bride coming out in September, the
Hmm.
Maggie Gyllenhaal Bride of Frankenstein movie.
Hmm.
So um, that'll be interesting. October,
Yep.
we have The Black Phone 2,
Yeah.
which I know I liked The Black Phone more than most people,
Yeah.
apparently.
Including myself, but I didn't hate it, but yeah, honestly I don't even really remember much of it to be honest.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see what they do
Mm.
with that and where the
This
story
time the
goes.
phone is even blacker.
I did just find out from Jeremy Jahns that there is a movie called Michael coming out about Michael Jackson. So
Oh,
um, that's intriguing.
yeah. Actually,
So,
yeah, no, I did hear that there was a biopic being made. Yeah.
hmm,
Um, yeah. Actually, did you notice when looking through the upcoming releases of this year, how many people are capitalizing on um intellectual properties that must have gone public domain? You've got Screamboat, which is the Steamboat Willie horror
hmm,
film that has David Howard Thornton as Mickey Mouse. There was a Pinocchio horror film. There's Bambi. There's a Popeye horror film. Like, there's so many of these films coming out, but none of them made my list because I
Mm.
saw that Winnie the Pooh, the first one, and oh God.
Well,
Um,
I watched the trailer for the Peter Pan one that's coming out
oh
soon,
God, really?
and
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
it doesn't
I'd
interest me
probably
at
check
all.
out Screamboat because of my love of Terrifier, but yeah, anyway. But on the subject of hopefully good horror films, Saw 11, and that is something that I didn't think I would say, but I freaking loved Saw X, Saw 10, whatever you want to call it. Did you get around to seeing that
Mm.
one? Yeah, yeah. Like that was such a surprise. It was probably the biggest surprise I had that year because I went in very reluctantly. I haven't even seen Spiral or whatever it was called because that franchise to me was just dead and buried. But the opportunity came up to see Saw X, and I was like, yeah, okay. And yeah, I thought it was absolutely fantastic. So I'm putting 11 on my radar because, yeah, I don't know. Like, if it's anything like the previous one, then it could be a good time. And that's everything that I had on my list. So I'll leave it up to you to
Um,
conclude.
well, I just had Blade is out in November, and
Ah,
I
I missed
actually
that one.
still haven't got around to seeing the original Blade movies.
Ooh,
They're on my list. I think I might have a box set on my shelf,
right.
or at least the first one that I picked up somewhere.
Mm,
But I'm surprised that you have not mentioned. Oh, and there's a new Jurassic World movie coming out, which I
eh,
still haven't finished the last trilogy.
yeah.
But I mean, dinosaur movie, I'm always going to be
Yeah,
interested.
yeah, yeah,
So, but yeah, I'm surprised that you did not mention that there's a new Margot Robbie film coming out this year.
yeah. I was leaving it for you because I looked at it and thought, oh yes, the new Margot Robbie film is coming out this year, and I thought, you know what? I'm if I mention it, I'm gonna go on about it for like an hour because of how much I am looking forward to that film. So I thought I'd leave it up to you, and of course the title is,
A
please.
big, bold, beautiful journey.
Journey. Yes, exactly. A big, bold, beautiful journey starring Margot Robbie that is coming out in 2025.
Yes, in
Um,
May.
and yeah, oh, you beat me to it.
So,
I cannot wait to see that film. Mm.
yeah, which also stars
Hmm.
opposite her
Yes. No, I'm leaving this one to you because
Colin Farrell.
yep, that's right. Will Ferrell.
Also,
Wait, what? Oh, okay. What the fuck? There's a new Margot Robbie movie coming out this year.
by the
Wow.
director of After Yang, which is a film that I really loved. So
Yeah, that
I'm
one.
glad that also cool that Colin Farrell's teaming up again.
Yes.
Phoebe Waller-Bridge is in it.
Okay.
Brandon Perea, the guy from
Hmm.
Nope, that was really cool, and
Oh,
also
okay.
in Twisters, he's in
Yep.
it. Billy Magnuson's in it. So
Hmm.
there's a few names, but yeah, it's an imaginative tale of two strangers and the extraordinary emotional journey that connects them, and it's like a romance film.
Yeah.
So that's pretty interesting.
Yeah, yeah. I
Yeah,
missed that one.
romantic fantasy film. So
Right.
yeah, very curious about that one.
Hmm. Yeah, no, this is the first I've heard of it. You probably already gathered that. So yeah. Oops. But now I'm looking forward to it. Now it is definitely on
Yeah.
my list of anticipated films. So yeah. Is that all you got for what you're looking forward to this
Yeah,
year?
that's it so far. I'm looking
Cool.
forward to finding stuff along the way as it gets
Hmm.
announced, and hopefully we don't get
Hmm.
too many that are pushed back.
Well, see, that's the thing as well, I find. That's why I don't normally do anticipated movie lists at the start of the year because throughout the year, like, halfway through the year, it'll be like, oh my God, there's this new film coming out in December that's like, now it's my most
Yeah,
anticipated film
I
of the
know,
year.
but
And
this is not like a strict list that
Yeah,
you
of
can't
course.
add anything to. It's just,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I get
hey,
it.
here's some movies to look out for
Hmm.
that you might not have heard are coming out yet. So
Like
it's
a
just a fun
big,
thing.
bold, beautiful
Journey.
journey. Yes, that's right.
Yes.
Yeah.
See, now you can anticipate a new Margot Robbie film.
You don't understand how much I am clicking refresh right now for any information as to when it's coming out. No, I'm not really.
Well,
All
I
right.
already told you too, because it's on Letterboxd that it releases here on the 8th of February.
Damn. Well, there
8th
you
of
go.
May.
Yeah, hang on a second. Happy birthday to me.
Yeah.
So you had a really cool idea, being that we are in 2025. And you had a cool idea for kind of a anniversary sort
Oh
of
yeah,
thing
I forgot
for
that
the
we did that. Oh
decades.
my God, this is a
Hmm.
really long episode now. I
Yeah.
suggested we do this because I thought the episode was going to be shorter
Yeah, no,
and we
that's
talk
never
too
the case
much.
with us. Yes,
So
yes, we do.
yeah, but I mean, this is a brief thing too
Yeah,
because it involves movies we haven't seen, so we
yeah.
can't
All
talk
right,
about
so
them too
talk us through.
much.
What are we doing?
Well, I just thought that, if we travel back in time and look at the last 10, 20, or 30 years,
Hmm.
so, 2015, 2005, and 1995,
Woo.
what are three films that we can anticipate watching because we didn't get round to them the first time?
We missed them.
And
We were
yeah,
busy.
so there's not a lot of thinking in this. I just kind of went to Letterboxd, filtered by the year. It was
Hmm.
sorted by popularity. So, had some big
Hmm.
names. And I was just like, oh, yeah, I haven't seen that film. And so that's how I made my list. I didn't think about it too much.
I did the usual thing. I went to Wikipedia and typed in 2015 in film, 2005 in film, etc. And can I just say, I love doing stuff like this, especially when I got to 1995. I'm just like, scrolling through, it's like, because it sort of brings back memories, you know what I mean? Like,
Mm,
there's all these things like I'm looking at Batman Forever. I'm like, oh man, I remember the first night that my friends and I went to see that, and we all got dressed up in freaking costumes. And, I was a lot thinner at the time. And so I put on a Riddler. I actually had somebody custom make me a Riddler lycra suit that I spent the night before painting question marks all over and stuff. And dyed my hair pink and did it up and everything. Oh man, we had such a great night. And so, things like that. I was like, man, this is so much fun. I love just scrolling through like years of movies. So
yeah, I
yeah.
added a couple as watched on Letterboxd because I was like, oh yeah,
Ah.
I've seen that. I've seen that. And
Mm,
and I remember going to the cinema to see that.
mm.
And so yeah,
Yeah,
that was
right.
pretty fun.
All right. Well, I reckon because this is just like a thing of three, so we'll start with 2015.
Hmm.
Yep. All right. Give me your three.
Okay, I picked Eddie the Eagle
Ah, yeah.
because, like I said previously, I've had Hugh Jackman on the brain since I watched Deadpool and Wolverine.
Mm-hmm.
So I was looking at his movies, and this one just looks like it's fun, and it's
Mm,
the kind of feel good story. So that's on
mm-hmm.
my list.
I actually,
I
sorry to interrupt, but I remember when that came out in cinemas, I can't remember how I wound up with a double pass to go see it. I don't think I won a competition. I don't know how I got this double pass 10 years ago. And I never got around to going.
ah,
So yeah, like wasted
so
a
you
double.
haven't seen it?
I haven't seen it, no.
Hmm.
No, but
Well, I
yeah.
can let you know how it is.
But see, this is what I mean. Like, when you look at movie titles and it's like, oh, there's a story behind that. So yeah, anyway, please continue.
My next one is Tangerine, which has been on my radar for ages. It has quite a nice movie poster, so every time I see it, I'm like, oh yeah, I should watch that.
Hmm.
But it's by what's is it Sean Baker? After watching Anora, I
Hmm.
want to see. I'm just going to check because if that's
Okay.
wrong, I want to fix it.
Yeah, because
Yes,
we
it
don't
is Sean
want
Baker. It's
to
just like,
don't want to
is
have a
it
kerfuffle
is it
like you did with
Sean?
the Bone
Yeah.
Temple. Yeah, come on, we
um,
need to know what we're talking about here.
So after watching Nora and liking it so much, I was like, I should check out Sean Baker's other films. And because
Hmm.
that one I keep seeing, so I'm picking that one.
Sure.
And the other one is Hell House LLC because
Ah, yeah, yeah.
that's quite a big franchise now, and I have not seen it.
Mm.
So I thought I should.
I highly recommend the first one. Just yeah, brace yourself for the following ones. Actually, don't even bother with the following ones, in all honesty. Like, yeah, but that's just my opinion. Um, I have four movies, so what I want you to do, no, to make things fair,
Okay.
I have numbered them one, two, three, and four. You've got to pick three of those numbers. You know what I mean? So you can pick like
Yeah.
one, two, and four, one, three, and four, one, two, three.
124.
One, two, four. Okay, so oh damn it. Okay, I'm not even no. I'm being fair. I'm not even going to mention what the third one was. Okay,
Yeah.
like that's fine.
I mean, you can still watch it anyway and talk about it. This is
See,
just for
exactly.
this. Yeah.
So my first one is the movie Maggie because I am a massive Schwarzenegger fan. Like I just, to
I
me,
don't even know what this is.
it's I don't know much about it. It's got Abigail Breslin in it. It's a dramatic film. Like Schwarzenegger actually, acts. He's a thespian in it. Yeah. To be or not to be, that is the question. But no, it's always ever since it came out, I always thought the poster looked really interesting. It's got this kind of grayish sort of, yeah, like sadness to it, I guess. I don't know much about what it's about, but it's Schwarzenegger, so I need to see it because I love the
Hmm.
guy. Um, Number two is Crimson Peak, Guillermo del
Hmm.
Toro. I own the film. I have it up on my Blu-ray shelf, and it is, I'm pretty sure, still in its shrink wrap because I have not watched it yet. But I'm really keen to because yeah, it's got like a great cast and everything. It's yeah, I'm very interested in that. Number three shall not be mentioned. So number four, actually, yeah, no, I'm glad you picked this one because this is a movie I really want to see, and that is Spotlight, which was the film focused on the like the whole Catholic Church sexual predator thing. Um, and yeah, from everything I've heard, that movie is freaking amazing. I mean, I think did it win Best Picture that year at the Academy Awards? I can't quite remember.
Don't ask me about Academy things.
Let's find out. Hey Google, did Spotlight win the Best Picture Oscar in 2015?
On the website Britannica.com, they say, Spotlight, American fact-based dramatic film, released in 2015, that won 2 Academy Awards, including that for Best Picture. To find out more,
No,
look for the
no,
link in your
no,
Google
no,
Home or
no,
Google
no.
Assistant app.
Shush now. Thank you. Um, anyway, yes, it won the best picture because I think that was the one that there was a controversy, wasn't it, where they read the wrong one or something or something like that. I don't know. Anyway, yes, that
That
is
was
a movie.
Moonlight, wasn't it? Moonlight and
Oh yeah,
La
Spotlight,
La Land or
Moonlight.
something.
Yes, that's
Hmm.
right. Which was, I think, the following year. Moonlight, Spotlight, whatever.
It's
There's
all
all sorts
light.
of. It's all light to me. Um, yeah. So anyway, yeah. So those are my three, not four, three.
Okay.
And if you want to find out what that third one was, you can private message me, and I will, I will let you know. But yeah, not mentioning it. Nope.
Hmm.
Nope.
Okay, 2005,
Yes. What you got?
20 years.
Hmm.
Wedding Crashes just popped up,
Oh,
and I was like,
yes.
oh yeah, I still haven't seen that, and I've been like
Good.
watching more comedies lately. So yeah,
Hmm.
comedy film on my list.
Isla Fisher steals the show in that film. Her character is fucking amazing, and that performance was just out of this world. Like, yeah, I've seen that movie so many times. It is absolutely brilliant. Mm.
My next one is The Island, which
Oh, Danny
it's
Boyle.
another one that was on my radar.
Mm.
So yeah,
Yeah,
go check that
great
out.
film. Yep.
And my third one is Brick, which is a Ryan Johnson film, which I always get mixed up with a Greg Araki film.
Oh, okay.
Because Joseph Gordon-Levitt is in both.
Right.
What's the Araki film?
I don't know. Uh,
No.
I've not heard of Brick, I don't believe. You know what it's about or anything?
Yeah, it's after a phone call from his ex-girlfriend,
Mm.
this guy learns that her dead body was found, and
Oh,
he decides to solve the murder himself. So he has to infiltrate high school cliques and
right.
um, be around people that he used to avoid
Okay.
and follow the
Hmm.
journey to figure out
Right.
like who's going
Hmm.
on. But every time I would hear Brick, I would think of the film.
Hmm.
Uh,
No, we're still looking.
he's been in a lot of films.
Frankie looks at computer screen anxiously, trying to find movie. Sorry, I've just, got to keep this going. Otherwise, it's just going to be 10 minutes of silence, and people don't want that. Come on, Frankie, you can do it.
I'm
Type
sure
faster.
maybe it's someone else.
Well,
No, Mysterious Skin. Every
yes, of
time I
course.
see Brick, I think of Mysterious Skin, Joseph
Right.
Gordon-Levitt in both. And
Ah.
so I don't know why that association has just stuck in my head. Mysterious Skin's
Hmm.
also another film I need to see.
Yeah, yeah.
But
All right.
yes, so that's my three films.
Fair enough. So yes, I have actually I struggled to find three films from 2005, and I'll tell you why. I was working in a video store. I saw freaking everything that year. Honestly, I'm scrolling through and there were barely any movies that I hadn't seen apart from Brick, of course. So I kind of really reached for this list. Um, I put Cinderella Man on there because Ron Howard, I think, is a really good director. And I have heard a lot of good things about that film, even though, yeah, again, it's that whole Rocky thing. It's like, ooh, it's a boxing movie. I don't want to watch that. But yeah, it was kind of a case of like looking through these films, it's like, there wasn't anything that I kind of like, really wanted to watch that I missed. So I just kind of picked three movies. It's like, well, I guess if I had to watch it. Um, because yeah, I watched a lot of movies that year. The next one I've got is a movie called Waiting, which has Ryan Reynolds in it. No, I think it was Anna Faris. And I remember the video cover and stuff, and it had something to do with waiters and stuff and everything. And I thought, well, yeah, I'm a big Ryan Reynolds fan. I'll watch absolutely anything that he is in. And so I was like, all right, I'll throw that one in there. Um, but then there was actually a movie that came up that I was like, oh, I still haven't seen that one yet. And that is, well, it's an animated film, The Batman versus Dracula,
Hmm.
which I think we talked about this movie years ago. I just seem to remember having a conversation with you about it, and I went to look it up on Stan or whatever streaming service had all the DC films because I was like, I really want to watch it, and it wasn't there anymore. So yeah, so there was that one, which I do want to see. But yeah, that's about as good as I could get for 2005 because God, I saw a lot of films that year. Yeah. So, all
Hmm.
right, now we're heading back to the decade that means everything. We're heading to the year that my second favorite movie of all time came out, which is not Batman Forever. It is Seven. Uh, just to clarify. Yeah,
Hmm.
1995. Take
Yeah,
us back.
this one had plenty, but
Mm,
you know, just kind of went with whatever to get it down to three. My first
hmm
one is La Haine
hmm
because it's a name I've heard for years
mm.
and years and years. So I thought I should finally get around to watching that.
Yeah.
Also, Party Girl with Parker Posey.
Okay.
Um, I've heard about this one quite a bit as well, and it actually is finally streaming somewhere. It's on
Right.
Tubi and also Nine now,
hmm
apparently. So yeah, I want to check that one out.
hmm
And the last one, I do have it on my shelf. It's called Animal Room, and I had never heard of it until I watched a movie and then I was looking up Matthew Lillard afterwards.
hmm
And he's in this movie.
Right.
And I'm just going to read the most popular review on Letterboxd. So sexy, warning if you can't handle horror descriptions.
Right.
So sexy of this movie to not only give us Matthew Lillard as a single earring wearing goth bully who
Mm.
says shit like, I want your blood in my mouth, but also a rotting corpse with a gaping bloody chest wound being eaten by maggots.
Wow.
So this movie, which also stars Neil Patrick Harris,
Mm.
is about a cynical and intelligent guy who's a known drug user, and he gets put into this disciplinary program at school.
Mm-hmm.
So, which is meant to be for really disturbed people. So then he becomes a target for this goth bully guy
Right, right.
and his gang of people.
Okay.
And so, yeah, as soon as I saw bits and pieces, I was like, setting up eBay alert. And then when someone listed a DVD for like a reasonable price, I purchased it. So it's on my
Okay,
shelf.
right. Cool,
So,
cool.
yes,
All right.
very curious.
Once again, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Pick 3.
2, 3, 4.
2, 3, 4. Okay. Oh, damn it. Fine. No, the first one I actually have on my shelf somewhere, and I'll get around to it one day. But number 2 is The Basketball Diaries with Leonardo DiCaprio. I've never seen that
Yeah.
film, and it always sounded like something that I think I would really enjoy, and a lot of people really love that film. And so, yeah, I've got to get around to watching that one at some point. Um, okay, the second one is a film that is one of those films that when I mention I've never seen it, I get the look, you know that. Yeah. Braveheart. I have not seen Braveheart.
Mm.
Um, I did see little bits of it recently on our holiday to Melbourne in a hotel room. It was on a TV and I was looking at it and I was like, yeah, this actually looks really good. The only thing that I really remember from it was back in '95. So I was working in a cinema at that point, and when the trailer came out and Mel Gibson in his Scottish accent, like someone says something to him and is like, I came to pack a fight. And we were like, peck a fight? Like, and so for ages, with the pretty much the entire time this movie was out, we just, had this running in joke in amongst us staff about, how there's a scene where he gets his cock out and like, it's like, pecker fighting with people. Yeah, I just thought I'd throw that anecdote in because, again, stories behind the names of the movies.
Yeah.
The other one that I want to watch, I did some research. Apparently, this film only has like 30% on Rotten Tomatoes, but could be the best movie ever. And that is a Johnny Depp film called Nick of Time. And the reason why I'd love to see that film was because it is a film that is set in real time. I'm not 100% sure like what the plot is or anything like that, but I know it's kind of an action thriller sort of a movie, but
Yeah,
uh
it's like you've got to do something to save your kid or whatever. It's been
right.
years and years since I've seen it.
Yeah, yeah, right. But because in the '90s, that was when sort of gimmick films were kind of coming back into fashion. I know in like the '60s, you had things like 13 Ghosts, where you had to put on special glasses to see the ghosts and things like that. And so, yeah, the '90s were kind of things like that were sort of coming back in. So I remember when this came out, it was a really big deal that it was set in real time. Oh my God, and yeah, never got around to seeing it, but I would like to check it out. So yeah, that one's on my list. That one concludes my list of only
Hmm.
3 because I'm not mentioning the first one. No.
Hmm.
Um, all right. Well, that is pretty much everything that we wanted to go through for our third and final holiday special. But yeah, coming back, I don't know what date, but sometime soon we will be relaunching back into our regular format of movies that we've watched and picking a main movie for us to do for homework and then choosing one out of 3 choices, that sort of thing. And so, yeah, you gave me a choice of 2 movies for what I thought might be for our main one. And I said to Kylie, who is currently so obsessed with sharks that I do believe she's actually transitioning into a shark. And I said to her, like, last year is like, kids were born, become obsessed with sharks. What does 2025 hold? And she's like, a tail and a fin. I'm like, wow, okay, cool. My wife is becoming a shark. So, but she said we should do Tremors, and I put that to you, and you're like, oh, yes, Tremors, because it's one of your most favorite films of all time. So, oh, because the other film you gave me was Jaws, which I thought was going to be like she'd be all over that. And to be honest, I would never turn down
Hmm.
an opportunity to see
Yeah.
Jaws.
Wow, interesting story. Because
Yes,
you didn't tell me that story.
I
You
did not
just
tell you
said,
that.
"Oh, I've seen Tremors less. Let's watch that."
Well, that is true though, because yeah, initially I was like, "Oh, let's do Jaws, and we can celebrate sharks." And but then I kind of thought, yeah, I've seen Jaws so many times, and I've only seen Tremors maybe twice.
Wow, that's
I
crazy.
know, I know. So yes, so Tremors will be our main film, and now we're going back to. I love this part. I honestly, this is one of my favorite things of our
This
podcast.
annoys me so much.
I know, but hey,
It's so much time.
yeah, yeah. So yes, we're doing this thing now where we've picked three movies for each other. We've got letterboxd reviews to assist in our choices, and you've gone first with a lot of things this podcast. So I'm going to go first. I am going to give you reviews of three movies that I want you to see, and you have to pick one. Now, this first one, I found two reviews that I can't go past, so they're both very short. So there you go. Um, okay, so the first review, fun fact, both halves are great. It's just that children lose interest when a man isn't screaming in their face. And the second one, if Whiplash was a war movie, this is what it would look like. Which obviously I threw that one in. The second film that I have picked, the review says, immediately I have a lack of words to describe it, but that will just give me more time to unbox this meaningful multi-level story. And the third one, now I've got to remember to change the names here. This movie is better than 99% of anything made before or since its release. The lead actor deserved every award. The director did everything right. I watched scenes from this weekly. Ram Jam. So, those are your three choices. Whoa, my God, there is a close-up of your cat.
Yeah, he's trying to step over onto the keyboard, and
Yeah, that's
that's
probably
not
not a good
a
idea.
idea.
Just, yeah, if Frankie suddenly disappears, it's because of Cooper. I'm assuming
I
it's Cooper.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm gonna pick the second one.
Oh,
I want
okay.
the multi-level
You
story
want the
thing.
multi-level story. All
Yeah.
right. This is a film I've been dying to rewatch, so I'm actually really glad you've picked this one. And that is a movie directed by and starring Clint Eastwood, Gran Torino.
Mm,
Yes, which is a very emotional story about an extreme racist. So
sometimes.
yeah. So yeah, keep the tissues on standby for that one. Although, yeah, your heart is cold and dead, so you probably won't. You probably get to the
Hey,
end where it's
I
like,
cry at movies so easy. That They Live in Time movie
mm,
that's just come out.
yeah,
I Once I heard what the plot was, I was like, yeah, I can't watch that in a cinema because I'm
right,
sure
right.
it's gonna make me cry.
And you
So
still haven't watched Guardians of the Galaxy 3, have you?
no.
Oh, that movie's gonna destroy you. So yeah. All right, give me my three choices. Come on, bring it. I'm ready.
Okay, number one.
Mhm.
Such a beautifully weird twist on the vampire tropes that's both delightfully fun and incredibly committed and well realized. I couldn't think of any two actors better suited for these roles.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, that'll do. So that's your
Mhm.
first one.
Yep.
Second one, before filmmakers started to insult viewers' intelligence, some excellent romantic movies were being produced. I truly believe most modern rom-coms are just watered down versions of this movie.
All right.
And the third one, cool is an understatement.
Oh, wow. Okay. Oh, come on. How can I resist that third one? Um, yeah, I know you were sort of like, oh, it's only a 4-word review. It's like, yeah,
Hmm.
but that's got me. Cool as an. Yeah, all right, let's go number 3.
Okay, well, that is actually a film I just watched.
Oh,
It is Cercle Rouge.
oh man. All right, I will try and get through this movie without thinking of
You're not
things.
even going to think about the title when you're watching it.
No, 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 no. Of
So,
course not.
yeah,
No, no, no.
it's,
All right.
yeah, I don't even know what the title means,
The Red
why it's
Circle.
called that.
Oh, but in context of the film. Yeah,
Yeah,
right, right.
so
Okay.
I'm not sure what the deal is
Yeah,
with
I've
that,
got a
but
completely different context in my mind, but anyway.
yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, I will be watching that then. That was unexpected. Wow, I'm thinking to myself, cool, so like, it was a sort of a Tarantino-esque, you know,
When you
90s
when you watch
action
this, when you
film.
start watching this, you will like very quickly see why that
Mm.
review is that and how true it is.
All right. All right. You got me. Damn it. You got me.
Mm.
Cool. We are at the end of our episode. Yeah. So there you go. What's that like? Yeah. A good 3 hours. Yes. Well, more than three
Yeah,
hours
this is
you've spent with us.
ridiculous. We need to talk less
We need
next
to,
time.
yeah, we need to just, maybe next time we'll just sit here, just looking in the cameras. Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. People can just admire our backgrounds or something. I don't know. If you are listening to us on the audio podcast, thank you very much for tuning in. If you are watching us on YouTube, we hope you weren't too disappointed. But yeah, so we'll be back. Do we have an
Well,
idea of what date the next episode? Like it'll be dropping
no.
in February, so um yeah, look, sometime in February.
I'm sure most people are like me and just wait for it to pop up in the feed.
mm,
I
yeah,
don't
yeah,
know.
yeah,
I have no idea when my podcasts come out. I just
yeah.
know it's around about time
Mm,
for one to be out, but I don't follow that closely. I don't know. I have
yeah,
too many anyway to pay
yeah.
attention to things
So
like
anyway,
that.
stay tuned, because yes, we will be back in the not too distant future. Thank you for tuning into our holiday specials. If you've listened to all of them, what is wrong with you? No, just kidding, just kidding. No, we love you. And yeah, that is pretty much all we have to say. So for now, I will say, as always, stay safe, watch lots of movies, and bye for now.